that's why it's really important to have a plan and understand what your goals are.
In fact, my camel out there is suffering right now with a broken back.
So I actually found Pepe when it was only a couple of hours old, and I'm like, oh, this is a funny meme.
Oh my god.
Yo! Who is this degen?
The old man is swing trading over years at a time. And it's like, that's where the real money is made.
The answer is a permanent loss. With single-sided staking, you don't have to worry about a permanent loss.
But really, at the end of the day, it's just a matter of a macro market. It's just what happens.
If you're aware, if you're disciplined, you can hone that into further financial growth.
Financial freedom, so we can actually live life and not have to be constantly living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, more or less, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, crypto degenerates, ducks and squirrels, welcome to this fancy schmancy Whiskey Wednesday, where we're going to be talking about the Pulse Chain and Binance game called Mafia. Joining me tonight, we've got the man of the hour, Mr. David Moondog Leader. For those of you guys who don't know, Moondog is a real estate aficionado. He is a degen. He's been in the community for a long, long time. So thank you for joining us, Mr. Moondog. And we've also got our fantastic degen roundtable aficionado, Mr. Brendan, the Anonymous Bean. Brendan is our macroeconomic specialist over here at the degen roundtable, and I'm just some random tower guy who climbs around, who wanders around the United States, climbing and knocking over TV and radio towers. But gentlemen, how are we doing tonight? Moondog, it's good to see you, broski. What's new and exciting with you?
Good to see you. Just had a birthday pass, so I guess that's a milestone that a lot of people appreciate, and
yes,
one that I've enjoyed myself. Appreciate it.
Fuck yeah, dude. Excellent, excellent. And we're gonna be getting into all sorts of the details as far as like what's new and exciting with the game and things. But other than the anything wonderful, anything awesome, you're doing well. It's been a while since I think I've seen you on F and Hangout. I haven't been hanging over there a whole lot lately. The community doesn't get to see you and hear from you very often. You're a staple, man.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I have been busy with life, taking care of life as needed, but then also putting time aside to cook on things that I care about and that I'm passionate about. We will briefly preview or touch on one of those things at the end of the stream, where I talk about a gaming platform protocol that I would like to develop and eventually launch myself, and how those who want to participate in the Mafia protocol on my journey, using the contracts that the developer of this game has made available for public use to deconstruct and amend and use for my own learning purposes and adaptations into what I plan on trying to put out into the world. But I don't want to, I don't want to put too much steam behind something before I'm ready to put out a finished product. We've all seen how that impacts the appreciation of the final product in crypto land. So I'm trying to learn from the mistakes of my elders, or the experiences of my own at least, and have a little bit of wisdom and discernment in being patient about tooting my own horn too much before there's even anything to give back to the community, because that's what matters. And hopefully if I do it well enough, they'll toot my horn for me so that I don't have to. So that's the goal, the standard, the target. I won't always hit it. As I tell those closest to me, I'm not always right, but I'm always real. So that's something you can trust. I hold my integrity to a high standard. I'll be talking about opinions that I have and violations of integrity that I've seen from various people in the communities today. But even with that, I ask that this is crypto. One of the main points that you put in the description that I love is don't trust and verify. That includes even me. My call to action is not asking you to trust anything that I show or tell you today, but it's to give you the opportunity to explore and find out for yourself what is useful or meaningful for your own purposes. So that's the goal. And hopefully you guys will be the judges of whether I hit that target or not, or how well I hit it.
Excellent. I fucking like it, man. I got so many thoughts on all that, but we got to introduce Brendan. Brendan Broski, how are you doing? What's new and exciting with you, friend?
Well, I'm doing pretty well. I've got a spot of whiskey tonight from this whiskey calendar that I showed you the other day. So I got two guys here tonight. I got the Amrut Indian barley whiskey, which I've already had a little taste of yesterday. It's not fantastic, but you can't let it go to waste. And I got another one, which I'm excited for. This is called Yellow Rose Moondog. This is crafted in Texas. This is a premium American whiskey. I don't know if you've ever heard of it or not.
Yellow Rose is famous around Austin, but not for being a whiskey, for being an exotic dance club. And
well, maybe they started making their own whiskey, to make a little extra money. You got your exotic dance club, you're serving your own whiskey, you're making money hand over fist.
They have the relationships for sure. They're in the Joe Rogan sphere, and through Kill Tony and sponsorship. So,
and then I'm sipping.
That's the reason I know about it is I watch Kill Tony, not religiously, but prolifically.
Makes sense. So I am also sipping on Boulder Rock hard cider. This is their seasonal Paradise Orchard, which, by the way, is not what I would ever choose, but my wife likes it. And it was what was in the fridge.
Very good.
Ciders and meads are my two favorite alcohols.
And not just that, but we got news that we made that our house in Miami may have sold. So that's interesting. It's very positive and a little bit of I lived in Miami for seven years almost, so a little bittersweet. But I'll be going down there regularly still, and it's good for to be able to roll that into other investments. So.
That's fantastic news, Broski. Congratulations. And for the folks at home and perhaps Moondog, can you explain what these little tiny whiskeys mean? There might be some people who weren't with us when you had first started cracking them out.
Yes. So one of my friends, my good friend Kieran, she came to visit last weekend, 2 weekends ago, and she gave me as a gift, sort of a housewarming gift. Thanks for letting me stay. A whiskey advent calendar. So there's 25 different whiskeys. And you're supposed to drink one every day during Advent, which is the 25 days prior to Christmas. So essentially, December 1st all the way to Christmas. And I have not been able to drink one every day. It's a lot, but I'm trying to make up for it by, double dipping other days. And so it's pretty cool. It essentially has 24 50 milliliter bottles. And then when you get to Christmas, there's a 375, which I don't even know what that is. I hope it's something delicious.
That's
half a fifth. And so it's pretty cool. It just gives you a chance to try whiskeys from around the world. I've had one from Australia. This one's from India, a couple from America, had a couple from Scotland, Japan. One from England. I didn't even know England made whiskeys. I thought they just made gin. But nonetheless, I got like, I'm a little behind. I got like 15 more to go. So
very nice. And very in line with the Saturnalia season, because it gives the liver an opportunity to do its unique value proposition amongst organs, which is it's the only organ that can fully regenerate itself as long as you give it the time needed. So the old adages about fast and famine seasons wasn't just a product of the environments we grew up on and how our physiology adapted, but they speak to a wisdom that we can utilize about being able to indulge in a way where as long as we take the time to do the maintenance or the fasting or whatever afterwards, we still get to experience a lot more joy and other things in life or with the less cost than people who even doing the same amount but never taking that time to rest or recover, might potentially have. So I don't know, little tangent to throw out there just because it hit my head.
So the takeaway for the folks at home is to do some fasting after drinking.
That was the point. Hey, periodic fasting is a great optimizer or additioner, quality of life improver, quantity as well to any life that you might be choosing to live. It's a longevity practice that is proven and efficacious. That's a word.
Not only for longevity, but when you learn to deny your body, you learn to create more self-control, which helps you in lots of areas of life. So multifaceted benefits from fasting. And by the way, fasting started, really started from a religious standpoint many long time ago, and come to find out it was good for the spiritual soul, good for the body, and now we know that it has multifaceted benefits. So,
and
cool.
Here's a little tangent that's worth telling, and then we can move on. But I started my fasting journey for religious purposes, and I remember, the third day doing a fast for Easter, being at West Point for a morning service, because that's when we were going to break, and just like, man, not having the energy, the motivation to function, to get up the hill, to get to the cathedral. And my young, experience at the time brain was like, okay, these 40-day fasts that they talk about in the Bible, they have to be exaggerations, like people living 700 years, or a calculation where it's a season is a year type thing. But there's no way people actually do this for 40 days. About 6-7 years later, I come across a study of a man who, under observation, went 380 days on only black coffee and a multivitamin, which I was incredulous to. But once I looked into, verified, found out the mechanism of action, how it worked, tried it myself, I found out that the third day was the worst day. And I've gone for 12, 21, and 40-day fasts since then, which are literal life changers. So that's trust. Don't trust and verify, or trust and verify, because trust does has its utility. A synonym that people don't often think about, because it has an inverse connotation to it, is counterparty risk. So when we're talking about the risks of trust, we often call it by such, but trust has its utility as well, especially in your close network, family, religious searching for meaning, or manifesting and experiencing meaning in this world. Having connections or bridges in your life that you can trust reliably, not across the board, but in some meaningful way, is worth having. It's just a matter of discernment and not being lazy, and taking the time again to understand that trust means different things in different contexts. And just because you don't trust someone in one way, or one specific way, especially maybe one that they feel entitled or slighted by you not trusting them, that doesn't obligate you to risk your own security or judgment. It just obligates you to wrestle with the situation as best that you can. So that's my tangent.
I like that, dude. That's a good tangent. And there's many things that I like, and we could keep doing this forever, but I am reaching around and trying to find my chat shoutouts paper. Brendan, I have a favor to ask of you for the chat shoutouts. Would you be so kind as to do the readings for the chat shoutouts, because I am doing some driving right now. But it's time for some chat motherfucking shoutouts, ladies and germs. Welcome to the show. We love each and every one of you. Are you able to do that, Brendan? I see that you've started starring some of them. Awesome. Thank you.
Good. They're all starred. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. It's a very fun Whiskey Wednesday. Stay positive, stay excited, and don't let the people around you get you down. You have to continue to find your own positivity and always have a long-term outlook. So first, we have the man of the evening, one of Will's good friends, Slide 1807, Josh. He has a cheers. I will give you a little cheers, my friend. Good to see you.
Get a refill.
We have up next Centurion 54X, our favorite farmer. What's up, D-Gens? Who's ready for the bear market? Not this guy. Ready for the bull market. It's interesting. I don't think we have time necessarily tonight to talk about it, but it is an interesting battle between these big whales that are buying, and everyone else that's selling. Like, who has more money? Can you sell forever, or can you buy forever? And I guess we're going to find out who wins that war, because again, a lot of the macroeconomic signals are pointing up, and some of the 4-year cycle people are pointing down. So we shall see. Time will tell. We have Moon-Pilled Rational Optics. Hello. Good to see you, sir. Moondog, who's here. Welcome, Moondog. Centurion had a few years of bear markets to practice prep, at least cry or be happy.
Yep.
Lunacy Points. Hey, gang. Hart, good to see you as well. Hexakin lost in Asia. The 07. Always good to have you, my friend. Crypto Furio. What's up, guys?
What's up, Furio?
Nice to see you, Furio. Moondog forking Mafia? Question mark.
Not exactly.
Funk Master Hex. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. You know, since you always have the whiskey glass, sir, I'm going to have to pour myself a little of this peaty whiskey from India. Cheers, buddy. Anybody from the Great White North? Only time I've ever, well, I mean, my family's from the Great White North. However, so funny story. Funk Master Hex, my grandparents on my dad's side are from Quebec. So my last name is Mercier. I am very much a French Canuck. On my dad's side, my mom's a mutt, English Irish in the bit else, but I love it up there. And last but not least, certainly not least, one of our favorite Hexicans, our favorite cheerleaders, Tam Hexicans. Hello, my lovelies. Great to see you, Tam. Thank you as always. And you know, people need to take your lead a little bit more often and stay positive, as I was saying before. So thanks for all you do.
And providing useful education. Even
the
positive is cool, but the education is useful.
And Funk Master X says, I'm a little behind, but I've been fasting off and on since August, and I'm down 40 plus pounds. Good shit.
Holy shit. Bro, that's fucking awesome.
A toast? All right,
yeah.
Our own Julian.
I'll fucking toast to that. Good shit, Funk Master Hex. That's awesome, dude. 40 pounds. Holy smokes. Good stuff.
So that is our last chat shout out. But Moondog, you have not told us yet what you are sipping on, good sir.
Ooh.
I got a little bit of Coke. I might add some rum to it in a little bit, but I'm in a good flow for what we're going to go through next, and so no need to interrupt it now.
Will, my friend, take it away.
I'm just drinking some Pepsi, nothing crazy, but the thing that we came to talk about here tonight is a game called Mafia. So I haven't done a whole lot of playing. I had originally joined the Gearheads long ago before I got kicked out of the Gearheads for being associated with some of my friends who were cool and awesome. There was some disagreements and some silliness going on in there. We might touch on it, we might not. I don't really know the direction that we're going to take all of the topic of conversation. But Mafia is a game on Pulse Chain where you can basically form alliances, form families, gather resources, send out hits on people, take control of land, and the whole goal is to basically get paid. So it's a game that incentivizes cooperation and like deliberate action, and also a little bit I don't want to say betrayal, that's the wrong word, but like cutthroatiness from time to time. So it's very like crypto appropriate and
the laws of power.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I interrupted.
Oh no, I was
the laws of power
running out of steam.
Yes.
Copy.
Cool.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, I wrote a spiel, so what I can do is I'll run through it, try to be engaging, but just to remind myself as much as anything. And then I got a couple of screens popped up. I can actually run you guys through hands-on demonstration, looking at the pretty little map, going through the wiki, and giving you a baseline to springboard off of and do your own research if you are interested. So I put here in my Whiskey Wednesday Mafia introduction. What is Mafia? Mafia is a play-to-earn crypto game ultimately designed to gamify mob family dynamics in an attempt to secure weekly, that's weekly, not monthly, crypto payouts and or murder other users for their assets. It also has lots of trade and market systems in place for gaming nerds like me who spent most of their time in World of Warcraft playing the auction house, which for those of you who don't know is technically one of the world's first dexes. World of Warcraft Gold qualifies as a cryptocurrency if you dig into the phonetics enough. I'm a word nerd, so I do. But Mafia has multiple markets in order for you to play those kind of market games which we've had several players that's what they focus on as a part of it. The game currently exists on Pulse Chain and BNB, and the dev plans to copy it, adjust the tokenomics and from lessons learned, and paste to at least 2 other chains. Currently, he has Base and Monad as the platforms that he's looking at working with. Starting next month, actually 20 days from now, it will be paying out top players from the Vault. The Vault is a central wallet in the gaming protocol that collects funds from the tax tokenomics on the Mafia token. And then it uses that to pay out the top families and top players based off of their participation, again, weekly. And it does so in the native chain currency. So if you're playing on Pulse, you're going to get your payouts in Pulse. If you're playing on BNB, you're going to get your payouts in BNB. Murder is still not an option. So the competition is largely based on your ability to build and your willingness to participate. So you could be a very casual player. And like I said, there's plenty of ways for you to navigate the markets, be in a family to get, payouts, and engage in some of the other activities available. Even just doing the basic crime to generate in-game cash, which you can then trade for Mafia on the exchange, and then trade that for Pulse or Bitcoin or whatever, USDC if you want. But you can't murder other people yet. You can't steal their assets. However, it is being built with that ultimate aim and intent. And in fact, there's actually a lot of frustration within the community, admittedly largely instigated by me, around payouts happening without the ability to take out other players that we deem less admirable or respectable in the way that they're operating. One of the big draws of this game from a meta philosophical standpoint, it's gamifying crypto mechanics in a way that's engaging. So it gets people the incentive to want to participate. And what it ultimately does is it creates a DAO-like mechanism for paying out social behavior and behavior on the blockchain that the community and the protocol deems rewardable and incentivized. It's definitely not a DAO because it is not decentralized and it is not autonomous. The dev has full permissions and control, especially while it's being built out. He has alleged that he has plans to eventually release permissions in order to essentially wash his hands of the responsibility. But time will tell if he actually has the fortitude to give up the temptation of not holding on to that control. I will say very bluntly, the track record of observing him myself over the past year and a half, 2 years, as well as the many people that I've met who have been with him for longer, he's not someone that you should implicitly trust. He's shysted people. He's a very talented coder. He's put out more elegant and complex contracts than almost any coder that I know. But he has a problem taking accountability for his unforced errors or making promises and then failing to deliver. So another big reminder of the don't trust and verify mentality. Because if you're going to play a Mafia game, the dev is, like I said, he's not even up to the Godfather. That's what he's called in the game. That's not someone that you should trust. And even he isn't the biggest bad. Will said that he didn't know how much we're going to get into it. A lot of you guys might know me as 11 Light Guy, which I promise is still here at my core. But there is going to be overt spite being communicated today around Pulse Chain developers who are participating in this game, who I personally witnessed scam and rob hundreds of thousands of dollars from multiple communities and tens of thousands of dollars from people that I know personally in dev fees and protocol undeliverables and nonsense, to be honest. So one of my motivations for this stream is, in fact, the fact that unfortunately this individual, who was running a family known as the Gearheads that Will mentioned being a part of before. And I was asked to be basically the second tier of leadership and help this person. And he ended up asking the wrong person. He got exposed. The whole thing blew up. He started being a tyrant. People who didn't want to acquiesce got kicked. He's literally by himself now. He's abused the protocol where there were functions rolled out and tested. So he uses his dev skills against the community. And he is on track to be the highest paid individual right now. So that pisses me off. And I'm on a personal mission to help fix that. One of the ways that I'm going to help fix that is by showing as many people as possible how to copy what he's done that has worked and been deemed as acceptable by the protocol, whether the community agrees or not. Because that's a problem with people getting paid out before having the kill function available, is the community does not have the say in determining who gets cleaned up, so to speak. And that was one of the biggest balancers that was promised as a part of this product. So there is real hope that it will eventually come, and I look forward to that day. But in the meantime, we're going to adapt and overcome, because we don't want to see the community funds. There's over 5 billion Pulse, it might be 8 billion, sitting in a vault that is slated for people who have supported this idea in this project. And there's a lot of people who would love to reinvest their payouts back into the game for various reasons, but it feels a lot less safe for everyone to do that when there's a known extractor waiting to basically drain us all for as much as he can. So I'm on a personal mission to kick him out of the top 5 positions, show people the game, show them how to set up scripting bots so that they can have, as long as they have the gas, which Pulse Chain is cheap, BNB is less cheap, but it's more reliable due to just the way validator nodes are set up. Pulse Chain is more decentralized and has rotating validator pool of much more than 13, whereas BNB has the 13 validator nodes. It's easier to work on and to get things verified when there's less variables to work with. And so that's the Pulse Chain drama, because he's the biggest person being paid out on the Pulse side. On the BNB side, there is a whole other set of drama, because the dev decided to take community funds and basically go pay for the Web 2 players of the Web 2 protocol game that he based this protocol off of, to come play the game. He grew up playing it, and that was a passion of his, obviously. So, I get the temptation of being able to go get the attention of the cool kids, the kids that he deemed worthy, while he bastardized and did it off the backs of community members who were supporting him, is not boding well either, because those players came in significantly later, again, paid for by community funds, and now they're slated to do similar to what GIF is doing on Pulse, but honestly, not through any fault of their own. And I've mentioned that I have full support from all the other major players and dons on the GIF nonsense, but those guys, I'm hoping that the community can be courageous enough to put the fault where it originates. But I did tell those guys, hey, just to be blunt, Jacob did give you a cursed gift when he did this, due to the perception of unfairness that it marked you within the community. So with all of that being said, on some of the drama and the motivations, I mentioned there are multiple in-game markets as well as an exchange that one can play as additional ways to earn income. On top of the regular in-game cash, it can be accumulated through either doing crime or even real estate investing, which is a forte of mine in real life physical assets. Matter of fact, I have 2 real estate deals that have closed, and I'm waiting on to fund a significant portion of which I'm going to put into my personal vendetta here in Mafia, and trying to harm gifts being rewarded for bad behavior as much as possible. And on the real estate side, I am one of the mega holders. I used last year to the map rollout happened to be around my birthday last year, so I used birthday funds as an excuse to secure a pretty dominant position on the Pulse Chain side, which I've been mocked for, which is fine. I think that the wisdom of my decisions will show themselves over time. But sadly, that's another gripe, is that the real estate, the people who did invest significantly in things like the real estate rollout and other things, got nerfed multiple times by the developer after he decided that they were doing too well versus some of his more favored users. You can sell most in-game items: guns, grenades, armored cars, bodyguards, regular cars that you can race other users for prizes. That's another feature. So you have regular crimes. You have stealing cars, where you can get cars that go in your garage that you can either crush for bullets, or you can sell for in-game cash, or you can take them to the racetrack and you can race other players for their car or for in-game cash. You actually have skill bars for racing, for busting people out of jail, because you can get caught doing crime and you have to go to jail. You can't do any actions for a while unless somebody busts you out or you bribe your own way out. And yeah, real estate can be earned to stake. Real estate can be staked to earn yield once it's developed enough. And because it's crypto land, and a lot of Jacob's other previous projects had casino elements to it, there are 3 to 4 casino games, different casino games. Some of them, there's one in each city. There's 11 cities on each chain. But there's casino games. You got slots, you got roulettes, you got a jackpot, and you got a lottery hall. And all of those are business entities that are owned by a player in game. So the player is earning the house side of those assets. And if you get killed, you can lose them. So that can put a target on your back, being an owner of a high paying asset that somebody else, might want. Also, you can lose them if you are not providing enough liquidity for it to cover the bets that are made. So if somebody hits a jackpot and you don't have enough personal in-game cash in the liquidity pool for your casino, that casino is going to be transferred over to that other player in order to pay off that winning. Group crimes are currently under development. On that note, don't trust the dev or anyone. Don't trust and verify constantly, iteratively, and then again, just to be extra safe sometime later. And then come help build out the game by making your own story and sharing the experience with other users or potential new users, your friends, if you think it's something they might be interested in engaging in and potentially getting paid for. That's what I'm trying to do now, but caution, don't trust even me. Verify for yourself. And even with your friends, like I said, trust is a necessary and healthy component of close relationships, but be aware, you might end up surprised and learn something about your buddies when real money starts changing hands. As Will mentioned, we got kicked from the game for our real life, friend associations. And that was before there was even payouts to consider. Boom. So let's see. I already covered that stuff. Already covered that.
What is your I've got a question for you, Mr. Moondog. What is the thing that spurred this thought within you to be like, you know what, I need to talk about this and tell people about it? Like, because it's got quite a few players. Like it's in the thousands of people in the Telegram, and I don't know how many daily active users are within the in-game DApp or something like that for the game and whatnot. But
yeah, unfortunately,
what spurred you to go ahead?
Yeah, copy. And that leads right into my next point. Most of my spiel is over, and it's going to be check marks to show through things now. But to answer your question and to comment on it first, there's probably about 200 players across all those accounts, and some of them are running 200 alts and some of them are running 4 or 5. And then a bunch of those accounts are dead because there's been such high attrition from people getting jerked around by both the dev and other community members, thinking their version of what it means to be a mafia gangster dick sometimes, a lot of times. There's a time and a place to be a dick, but it's just the discernment is ridiculous. It's run off a lot of people who are, so there's empty accounts waiting, which is another priority opportunity for the kill function becoming available because there's a lot of potentially useful dead assets sitting in those accounts, and it's also a lot harder to understand the landscape whenever that bloat is in the system. So my goal here today is to help treat an infection that we have, and then also to potentially try to reverse some of the attrition, the habits of attrition and growth trajectories that the game has been on thus far, to provide everything needed for anyone who wants to copy Gift's proven strategy to take payments from his pockets into your own, or to just play the game your own way, to get about $500 worth of crypto assets within the next month or so from an onboarding incentive that the dev has put into the game called story mode, where if you complete, when you complete certain tasks, you're going to get certain payouts. And then also, I have so much real estate and some other assets that I'm going to throw in, you know, a couple $100 worth of utility of assets for anyone who wants to come help us on my personal mission of malice. Why not just do it myself? But more friends equals more power, or just more people. Friends are not participating means less for the scum monster that I loathe seeing be rewarded for gross behavior. So then after that, my notes are to show Mafia, the game wiki and story mode starting first. And I got a screen up when you're ready to pull it.
Yeah, we can pull up the screen in a second. I want to give Brendan an opportunity to ask any questions or opine on anything.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I'm curious to learn about the game. But, you know, you started with, you know, what's bad with the game, which isn't necessarily something that's going to bring people into the ecosystem. So I'm curious, before you get into showing the game and stuff, you know, what's cool about the game? You know, what drove you to join, and what gets you excited about it, and you know, what's enjoyable about it?
For sure. I definitely started differently than most marketers start, which is I didn't polish the turds for y'all. There's a baby with placenta being born, and it's ugly as fuck. But it's a baby capable of becoming a fucking powerful bomb-ass human being. I have 4 kids, so I'm intimately familiar with that phenomenon, which is a fucking miracle. So this game, with all the growth spurts and growing pains that it's going through, even though it is not delivering in the way that the developer is constantly changing his mind on what he is going to deliver. I mentioned the payout kill function situation, but that's just one example. Another big one is it was originally planned for the health and bullet in-game assets to be tokenized crypto assets themselves versus being integers in the contract. They would be actual tokens that you could put into liquidity pool that would provide, you know, a whole nother meta crypto game of people who play liquidity pool games to the game economy itself. And what's good about that? Well, again, if people are playing the game and then they're being affected by these market forces and liquidity pools, it incentivizes them to learn what's going on. And the more they learn and understand about the buttons that they're pushing, the more equipped that they are going to be ultimately to navigate crypto in a way that's achieving the goals that they're shooting for versus pushing the buttons and hoping. There's a lot of hopium in crypto. This game, I mentioned that it's the Wild West. Don't trust anyone. It's a mafia game. It's kill or be killed. That's a feature, not a bug. The point of crypto is to not trust, to verify, to figure it out yourself. And here you get the opportunity to get paid. Even if you're a scum monster, even if you're a scammer, there will hopefully be social consequences once we have certain functions available, but you have the opportunity to engage in the game, to build a base, to flat out your strategy. And again, in the attempt to get those payouts, and all the while you're touching crypto contracts, because everything here is on the blockchain. It's not, okay, he does have some server side stuff to help host it, but it's about as on the blockchain as you can get, as opposed to some crypto games that are literally Flappy Bird with a connected wallet is how they've been referred to, where it's just some Web 2 thing, and then you have a connected wallet, and then maybe some contracts are stored on the blockchain. This one, the data is by and large all stored on the blockchain. There's some aesthetic stuff on the maps that is locally stored. So, but anyways, that's getting into the weeds of it. And that's the point, is it's complex, it's dangerous, it obligates you to take responsibility and to be rewarded for doing so effectively, and or to adapt and accept a diminished reward for failing to do so. So it incentivizes people to engage in behaviors that could benefit them. And as a literal forefather with 3 boys and a baby girl myself, I have a personal mission. I know how important it is to leave models in the world that are worth emulating. And that's exactly what this is. It is a model that is worth emulating, not only in its ability to gamify crypto mechanics and to provide experience and education and community to people in a way that is engaging and potentially fun, depending on what you make of it. But also, let me remember what my but also was. It's a model worth emulating. It's incentivizing. Oh, again, whenever we have the vault kill function aspect of it, that is something that I haven't seen in any other crypto projects as a form of community management. Here's a Snapple fact for anyone who is following the Pulse chain ecosystem deep in the woods. If you read the masterchef.sol contract for PulseX, I don't know if it's still there, but at least whenever it was published, after V2 was published and amended, there's a comment that talks about basically the PulseX incentive token DAO farms that Richard Hart alluded to back when he used to stream. But what it says is the migration function is ownable and transferable. It is a very powerful function and will be transferred once the community has been shown to manage itself. That's a comment in the masterchef.sol contract. So it's a standard that's being set by someone with access to that contract. Let's assume a duck or Richard Hart or whatever you want to help the story in your mind make sense. Somebody is setting a standard for community management. How do we do that? This game, the protocol, what it's putting on the blockchain is one way of achieving that kind of goal. It sets standards, or allows a community to set standards that when certain operations are executed or movements are made amongst your peers, there are certain consequences, rewards, or disincentives for those moves being made. So as a way of gamifying models, that's what I think. GameFi in crypto hasn't gone anywhere because nobody has really made something that has engaged people enough for it to have sustainable meaning. I am not necessarily confident that this will be that thing. However, it has a potential to be, so it's worth at least paying attention to from that risk reward profile. And if not, it's still worth understanding and learning because it could better equip you to either identify or deliver what that thing will ultimately be or what one of those things will ultimately be to the crypto world. So I think gamifying crypto mechanics, especially things like staking, which is a way of incentivizing patience. This is the opportunity that's available alongside, again, just the rubber hits the road opportunity of getting money in your wallet if you are able to navigate in a successful enough way. And my goal is to provide you the tools to go find out and test out what that way may be that works for you. So did that answer your question?
It does, yes. I find it interesting that there's a lot of mechanics that are kind of unique to this ecosystem, unique to this game, that are being built. And
that's the thing that I didn't. Sorry, that's the thing that I didn't give enough credit. So it's worth is these contracts are deeply informed and educated contracts. As pissed off as we are, a lot of those things have been management decisions. And management decisions are tied into the functionality that's being able to be delivered, obviously. However, all that being said, I wouldn't be advocating to even learn from these contracts if I didn't think that they were worth learning from. They are some of the most sophisticated and useful contracts that I've seen in a crypto ecosystem. Again, even scammers that were out coding up their own stuff to scam entire communities have found coming here to both learn what this developer is coding and also piggyback off of what he's growing, worth their time, more worth their time than what they were doing before. So sorry, that was my quick. They're very good like they're not perfect, but they are very good contracts. Kind of like Richie. He's not perfect, guys, I promise. But he is one of the best that we have out there. So discernment, as far as what you're getting for your attention, that's worth considering or knowing.
Very cool. Well, what you got?
I was going to say that it's interesting that there's like a community excommunication feature in this game and how that could like then translate into other crypto elements at some point down the line. Like the fact that you can kill the players that are doing the bad thing for the whole thing. That is quite fascinating.
It is fascinating, and it's fascinating how deeply people believe it, because there are some people who are playing this game as if killing off one or two crypto wallets is going to make some people go away, when that's simply not the reality or case. There's the optionality to re-roll characters on fresh accounts. You would obviously require either a lot of tenacity and grit or support in order to make it worth your while to cycle back through. Hopefully less than one would fear, as that's one of the other big things that's the other thing too. Participating in this right now during pre-access, you have the opportunity to give feedback before the final launch, whatever it is, comes out. How graciously that feedback is accepted or dismissed is a crapshoot, but you have the opportunity to present it and to potentially meaningfully impact the game. One of the priorities that I brought up that is worth looking to after the kill function is that retention cycle of when somebody is at their peak frustration of having been eliminated and having lost not all of their assets. Because I forgot to mention, there are testimonials where you can provide certain things that go to another character. So a family member or an alt that you've created, there's a certain amount that gets burned, and then a good portion that goes to the person who killed you. The reason there's an amount that gets burned and also taken away from the killer is it makes sense for killing to be expensive, and for people to have more motivation beyond just the potential monetary of going out and doing and executing that action en masse. I mean, if we play D&D, we all know about murder hobos. So there's going to be a certain percentage of the population that are murder hobos. Making the kill function expensive helps to reduce the amount of frivolous killing that could potentially occur. It's not going to eliminate it altogether. But yeah, my priority that I hope the dev pays attention to is when somebody's at that point of peak frustration, what are the design elements around the value that the game is providing, which is the experience, the social network, the payouts. And the experience means, are you having fun, to make it understandable? Are you having fun? Is it meaningful to you? So if what design elements can be focused on to make sure that when somebody's at their peak frustration at having been, taken a loss, to want to engage and to continue to engage and to be happy about that decision, for it to be a part of the journey, a part of the cycle that you're able to go through, or one of the phases that you're able to go through in your experience, while continuing to, again, have fun, and have friends, and learn things that matter, that can help you, things that can get you paid, things that can help you be better prepared to identify and participate in other crypto projects, or to understand more deeply the risks that you're taking by engaging in ecosystems at all. There are a lot of people that are a one chain person because crypto is hard enough to grasp, or they have a loyalist mentality. If you get on Pulse Chain and you're like, hey, these payouts are nice, why don't I use some of the cross chain relationship that have been developed by my family to try to get a payout on BNB too? Now you're over on BNB and you're learning about that whole ecosystem and the differences that it has with Pulse Chain. It has different risk profile, it has different benefits. And then if the developer does follow through with his plans to make that available to other chains, then you have that opportunity expanded as well. So those are other cool features, is the ability to edify yourself, to use this as a self-direct, teaching tool to make friends, acquire knowledge and skills, and to go out and execute, and also to build cool shit and deliver it to the world. Because with this game, you have the opportunity, if you want to use AI and make a bunch of videos. Some members have made music videos or other things around Mafia, around their family. I mean, it's dwindled here and there, but if that's fun for you, that's definitely something that you can do, and that is appreciable by the community, or by the people that it attracts that you bring in. That's a way for you to build out that friend network, just by doing cool shit that you like to do anyways, and being like, hey, here's a cool way to see it, or to a cool story to tell. You can, if you plan on murdering a whole family like I do, make a story about it, make a pocket, like turn it into content. This is content era, bro. Let's get so people want to be entertained and they want to be paid, and you got the opportunity to be both here and to provide both to people that you might like or dislike, to provide the inverse. You can irritate and try to take away their payments. So boom.
But you said the kill function is not active yet, right?
Not correct. It is one of the we're still in what's considered pre-access, so that is one of the primary main functions that the dev needs to finish coding and make available in order for us to consider the game fully launched.
Can I ask you the hardest question that you're going to get today?
You can try. I've had some really interesting conversations all day.
Why would a dev want to create a function that would allow you to kill him? Now, I'm not saying that he won't create the function, but I'm saying, why wouldn't he tip it into?
No, the dev doesn't play though. The dev gets paid by various dev fees in the protocol.
See, that is a big.
Sorry.
See, that's the big thing you haven't mentioned yet.
Dev allegedly doesn't play. I have strong reason to believe he has literal blood brothers that are at least participating in pre-access, even though that's not publicly disclosed. Don't trust. Dude's shady as fuck. But the blockchain is going to pay out based off of blockchain math on certain time intervals. So if you can, meet those criterion, then how you feel about the dev or how the dev feels about you, it's inconsequential. I promise you.
That's an important
pissed
answer.
the dev off enough to mute me for 24 hours at one point, which I said, no, fuck you. You're muting me for saying shit that you know is true, and you just don't want the newbies that you paid for to. I left of my own volition. I came back and he lost the baseline respect that I had for just management that I was dancing around before. Now it's not a matter of, I respect his work. I don't respect the deliverables or the management skills that he's done. So I'm telling people up front, be aware, do your own research, verify what you think you know, and try it out. And here's another tip for mental health purposes: use a casino mentality when you're playing this game. And what I specifically mean by that, when I go to the casino, I take the time to understand why I'm going, which is to fuck off and have fun and to go on a dopamine roller coaster. That's what a casino is, and that's what this is. That's what crypto is. That's what a lot of things in your life are. But I'm paying to be amused and go on a dopamine roller coaster 85%, and 15% it would be cool to have some extra cash. I designate a value of what that experience is worth to me, paying for, and I'm like, well, what are the alternatives? I can go out, play pool, spend it on a video game, do this or that, and it costs me X, Y, or Z. And it's, you know, a tenth of whatever. I do some math in my head and decide what I think it's worth, and I say, okay, here's my Monopoly money that I'm willing to spend for tonight's fucking having fun. And then if I spend it and I walk away with zero because I don't go, you know, I don't go on liquid loans. And actually you could do that to kind of, it takes different leverage risk profiles, because you could minimize your inputs, but then if you do lose it all, then you still have this other cash to claw back at. But then you have to worry about if that's going to drop, and then you have to, anyways, you could use your payouts to pay it off. I'm going to do a strategy like that, but that's deep into the weeds. But use a casino mentality where the bottom line up front is, if you lost everything that you put into it, the ride was worth the expense. If the ride and the experience is worth the expense, and you took away skills, friends, or other meaningful things to you that was worth it, then it is time, energy, capital well spent. And the upside is it does do well or half decent, and you not only have the rewards of spending that energy, but you still have that capital because it wasn't a cost, it was an investment, or at least you have some portion or not scalar, what's the other word, magnitude of it. That would be ideal, is you get paid to multiply your input, and the better you are at it, that's a possibility. But not everyone will win. At the top of the deck, the exchanges, the sexes, there's one of them that's, I think it was El Toro that Richie would talk about, that says 91% of our users lose their ass. You know, not lose their ass, but to the effect of. And even of that 9%, you've got 1% that's taking most of it, and 8% that are, you know, breaking even. They're getting a nominal thing to be in the winners club. I do real estate, and Pareto's principle of the 20-80 rule is way more 5-95 in real estate, because you got a few people that figure shit out, they repeat it, and they just rake it in on a compounding exponential curve. The person that I kind of ended up, I didn't learn real estate from, but when I was learning real estate, I became his outside agent when he was a mentor at a investment club. The dude was a savant. Like, he was literally the poster boy for this real estate investment club, because he bought 70 houses in 2 years, single family houses in 2 years. He's making, freaking solid 20 to 30,000 a month cash flow for himself, plus for his capital partners, and then plus all the capital. So the case study after case study was on this dude. I got to work with him, well, for him and with him, and I was just learning real estate, and it became very apparent to me that this dude was a savant. He had learned something that had worked, and then he repeated the hell out of it. And then he had the resources that he needed to find people like me to help him adjust whenever the market adjusted and that strategy would no longer work. So that is something that I would advocate searching for within the protocol as well, is don't trust but verify. Doesn't mean treat everyone like shit and spit in their eye and tell them to fuck off. Listen to what they had to say and then measure it on your own internal scales. And then hopefully build up the discernment and the respect to have people who have worthwhile things to hear by your measuring that want to tell them to you. Because there's a lot of secrets in this game. There's a lot of people conniving and not wanting to reveal their hand and feinting to make things look this way, but then moving that way. Like I said, from the dev down. So it behooves you to be aware of that and to understand how to navigate it more effectively. But I tangented again.
All good. Will, take it away. I have to jump off, so I think you're going to share some of the gameplay and some other things here. So I will jump off and let you guys do that, and then I will I'll catch up later. But very cool stuff, Moondog. Excited to learn more about this.
Copy. Great.
Excellent. It was great having you, Brendan.
Yes, sir.
Cheers, guys.
Have a good
Excellent. And for the folks at home, if you guys want to find more of what Brendan's doing, you can go to x.com/the anonymous underscore bean. No the in there, just anonymous underscore bean on X. That's where you can find Brendan. Fantastic. All right, Mr. Moondog, we've got some thoughts from the folks at home on some of the stuff you covered. That was quite a bit of tangent over there. Do you have any ribbons or any bows you want to put in the ribbon before we go into some of these little chats?
No, I am ready to run through the show and tell after we get, hear what the people have to say.
Excellent. So our first comment that we got from the folks at home is from Crypto Furio, and he says, and this is in regard to Mr. Gifford of the Gift Tech and the Gearheads and all that stuff. He abused the protocol and then reported the bug, claimed to have saved the whole game from said bug. So,
and it's
that is
it's worse than that
is often how things go. Go ahead.
He abused the protocol and then reported when other people were moving in on his abuse and sniping his efficacy. He reported it to cut them off from being able to catch up on the advantage he had gained, and then he claimed to save the whole game. Freaking classic. The vanity.
It is interesting, man. And I was talking to another gentleman earlier today about like the stuff that's been going on with this person just over the past year or so. And by the way, this game, the Mafia game, has been in in development for 2 years, something like that, almost.
Coming up on that, probably. It's actually a replacement for the TYRH and TYCZ protocols that Jacob originally developed. Unfortunately, there was a bug that was exploited, so he shut it down, and his compensation to the community who was involved in those projects were airdrops for the initial rollout of assets as he started to develop this game, which is his true life passion. This is what he cares about. So he definitely, I believe that he felt and believed he was doing those people a service and giving them, ground floor on something that he deeply cares about. It's just unfortunate some of the disappointment that's occurred since, but it's still awesome stuff, and there's still a lot of people who appreciate the work that's been put in and how good it is, even with all of the nonsense. But it is a work in progress, and it does take time.
Yeah, the Phoenix rises from the ashes, and I think that there was something that you had said earlier on in the stream about I don't remember exactly what, but it was something along the lines of try, fail, try again, try, fail, try again sort of thing. And this game isn't going to launch perfectly. It's not going to launch awesome. Nothing ever does anything. Many things.
And Richie loves to talk about his flawless launches, but that just makes it all the more fair to even the king of flawless launches had a flawed launch. So fair is fair. Humans are human. We adapt, overcome, and try to give credit where credit is due.
And that's the whole thing that's something that I think is very important is folks should understand that your first action that you take quite likely is going to fail, or there's going to be some major unforeseen problem, and you'll have to fix it and then move forward. And that's the difference between dreamers and winners, is the amount of action that is taken after an unforeseeable problem pops up, and this is one of the things that I've been listening to a lot of Tony Robbins lately, so I'm on this do, fail, do again kick.
Go ahead.
That was basically
one of my-
the end of my thought.
I was gonna say you brought up one of my favorite little anecdotes and ways of articulating it is the Snapple fact that sin is etymologically it's an old Latin archery term that means to miss the mark. And my takeaway from that, having grown up seeking out various Sunday schools because my mother ran a meth lab when I was growing up, so I was looking for safety where I could find it. And also having married into a pastor family, I strongly feel that Sunday school would be a lot better across America had we remembered the original intent of the story of sin being an allegory for the learning process, which is at first you're going to miss the mark, you're going to make a mistake, but that is an inevitable part of the learning process. And the idea is to, even moving into the Christian New Testament part of it, the idea is to die to that old self or that old part that made you miss, and to be reborn as something new, something better, someone who has learned. Some part of you dies whenever you learn from your mistakes, because the mistake, you're saying that part of me is dead. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to do better. So I just, unfortunately, Sunday school got hijacked by the instant gratification control mechanism of utilizing shame because it's so powerful and potent. So it changed sin into equating to shame, not, hey, you're going to mess up, that's part of the process, do better, and that's on you, to there's no way you're going to be what you need to be out the gate. You suck, accept it, and defer your responsibility honestly outside yourself. It's easier to control people whenever they buy into that, because if they defer to you, now you control. So that's a tangent. But
you know, it's interesting that you say this. I see those two mechanisms as having like snippets of masculinity and femininity attached to them, right? Where you've got, and that's not necessarily a fair anecdote. I'm just seeing some parallels here.
Young would agree, and actually Brene Brown, who is a Houston local but a pretty well famous author for her psychology work on vulnerability. Some of the language that she's used that helped me to identify and kind of discern the yin and the yang of this is guilt and shame. And the definitions that she uses of guilt being tied and associated to your behavior, to your actions, while shame is associated to your character and who you are. The first one, you ought to feel that you have more control over adjusting. And that's more the masculine realm of, well, what's the problem? Let me fix it. All right, cool. Fuck it. Move on. You don't, dwell or feel to whatever, like you felt what you needed. And as to where the feminine, which doesn't necessarily mean female, we all have masculine and feminine elements within us. It's just how well we nurture, understand, identify, or understand those, or have them integrated is how well we're going to operate or understand what the fuck is going on with us. The feminine side is more concerned with her social environment, because in order to raise babies, the first thing you got to be safe from is the fucking dudes around you, like dudes and women, because women use social maneuvering to tear down each other and to compete a lot more than men do. So shame is a bit more of a feminine attribute in that way of the yin and yang, if you discern them between guilt and shame, because guilt, action based, it's much easier for your masculine self and even your feminine self to be like, oh, okay, I did something, whatever, all right, let's do better. But when you're in your feels, you're feeling shameful, you feel a lot more paralyzed, you feel a lot more powerless, you feel a lot more willing to defer your power out to someone else to save you. So for what it's worth, in my amateur Jungian training.
I think that's good. And there was something I wanted to add to it. Oh yeah. So like there's like also a scarcity and an abundance mindset to be tied to those two things based on, or at least I'm drawing parallels between like reproductive strategy. So like men create billions and millions and billions of sperm, right? Abundance mindset. We can throw them all out like fucking shotgun and machine gun blasts, no problem. Women have the single egg, so there's a you got your K selective, you got your R selective, right? Where we're looking at quantity versus we're looking at quality. And so when you have something that's precious and something that's finite, then you get the scarcity mindset, and that's where like the shames thing sort of kind of works, is because the shame protects the valuable thing that is scarce, and then with the more of the other side of it, you have the abundance mindset, which is like each one of these individual sperm units are not necessarily valuable of themselves, but so we can like throw them all around and not
Try to
worry
get them
about
out. Let them compete. Let the best ones throw them out. Let God sort it out. I can see that, but I can also see the inverse parallel on the other side of the reproductive strategy, which is after. Put it this way: as far as mate selection availability, females have the abundance, and the consequences when it comes to divorce or ending relationships, females, they have the abundance both of mate selection, so replacement options, and also of the social network around them. They're more tied into it, so they react to divorce infinitely better than men do, which is both a part of those factors that I mentioned. And there's the biological evolutionary theory that because women were a resource that was, whenever tribes were conquered, the men were killed, the women and the kids were killed sometimes, but the women were usually kept, and therefore women had to adapt they were more the women who survived to be our ancestors. They had to develop the survival tactic of being able to adapt to their enemy conquering them and just move the fuck on if they wanted to live at all. The ones who didn't got killed off. So men,
war brides.
Yeah, men, they're incentivized to give in to the not giving an inch into the honor, basically, because there's no scenario where giving into the enemy is they're disincentivized using honor. Basically, if you give into an enemy and you get reward from it, men are there's punishing mechanisms even amongst their own. It's betrayal, it's whatever, but it's also more scarce. There's not the opportunity. But yeah, whenever divorce happens, men take it more personally, and they're more prone to spiraling and having a harder time recovering from the damage of an ended relationship, especially divorce, than women are, because one, it was hard enough for them to fucking get a woman's attention, much less one that'll continue to give them their attention in the first place. Now, they feel like all of that energy or investment was bamboozled or lost or taken advantage of somehow. They feel a loss much more, and it just see it as so much harder to try to do it again. So that's a fun inverse there.
Oh man, yeah, that's a good point.
Moving on.
Yeah. So, and the way that this all ties in to Mafia. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, but your point about it being abundance and scarcity. So I have 5 values, like core values that I've articulated for myself. One of them is the abundance mindset versus the scarcity mindset. But the one that the guilt and shame understanding or discernment ties to the most for me is a growth mindset over a fixed mindset, which it's Carol Dweck who wrote the book on growth mindset. You can go find like interviews that'll probably be more digestible. But essentially, gifted and talented students are a great case study to look at for the points that are the valuable points that came from her work. So gifted and talented students that were told that they're smart, and that's the praise that was focused upon them, often tended to feel that their smartness, that their achievement, that their character was tied to that smartness, to that achievement, and to how easy it was for them to do stuff that other people deemed difficult. So when it comes to actually doing a task that challenges their abilities, they're much less likely to do it. They come up with excuses. As to where and that's a fixed mindset. That's basically the idea that intelligence is finite, and if you're not born smart or you don't get something, it's a lazy excuse to be like, oh well, I'm just not smart, I don't get it, fuck it, it's not my thing, it's just who I am. These are the things that you hear from somebody who doesn't want to grow. As where growth mindset in a nutshell is anything is learnable if I'm willing to pay the price. So for me, the story of, again, going back to original sin, if people understand, look, anything is learnable, but not immediately. You're going to have to go through this process until you hit that target. And are you willing to continue shooting arrows until you can do so consistently? And if so having a growth mindset, you have to believe that you can do it before you're going to get off your ass and actually try to do it. So having a growth mindset is a start to that process and that journey, and the empowerment I want to share with everyone amongst my tangents on Mafia or otherwise.
Being delusional is like delusional self-confidence is like a necessity in the realm of success for most things. While also remaining calibrated and learning from failures and things. So you have to have this like, I continue no matter what, and none of these mistakes mean anything, and it doesn't reflect poorly on me. It just says that these actions weren't necessarily good. Keeps people going.
Delusional self-confidence is inherently risky.
Perhaps I'm saying it wrong. Yeah.
No. I'm going. It's inherently risky, but there are many great things, especially most great ideas the day before they're a great, most breakthroughs the day before they're a great idea, they're total insanity. That's a Peter Diamandis quote. He's someone that I love and follow. But
I like that.
So what was I saying?
Delusional self-confidence.
Delusional self-confidence. So there's a risk, and there's a fields of dead bodies from people who didn't keep their delusional self-confidence in a useful domain. However, it's also a fact that there are just certain things in life that would not have ever been achieved, nor would ever be achievable, because people wouldn't get off their ass to even try if they knew how hard it was going to be, which is the inverse of delusional self-confidence. So this confidence is thinking it's going to be easy, a certain level of easiness in order for you to achieve. You wouldn't even get your ass in there and try it if you knew how hard it was going to be. But the deciding factor of whether you get wrecked and stay stuck in disappointment, or you overcome that and move forward and achieve your target anyway, is how much grit do you fucking have, and how willing are you to put it out there. So that's my ideas on delusional self-confidence.
I'm going to remember the archery, like sin in archery, it means to miss the mark. And like
make a mistake.
The
real error to correct.
The thing to remember about that is that, like, you're going to sin, so you need to shoot again, and you need to keep shooting until you stop sinning, and you start getting the hits, whatever the Latin word is for hit. So it's
listen, kids, it's an old meme, but it's true, just not in a funny way. If you don't sin, Jesus died for nothing.
There you go. And the point isn't like you don't shoot the arrow.
You don't intend to sin.
Yeah, it's like you just accept that it's
You should
part of the process.
You should feel comfortable navigating it. Appropriately, based off of the gifts and privileges and opportunities that you have.
Becoming
that's what they are. They're gifts,
with
privileges, opportunities, and grace. And it's a great. I was going to mention gratitude practice as just a fundamental part of life, and that's also, I think, part of my answer to being that I skipped over earlier about why all the shittiness of this is worth paying attention to. Because by paying attention to the shit, it gives you the bandwidth and the reminder and the incentive to appreciate rising above it, overcoming it, turning that shit into fertilizer, being the alchemist that you were born to be, and making a fucking garden, because that's what bullshit is useful for. Go throw it in the compost pile, plant some mint, and that shit will grow wild on its own. I love mint. Mint and moringa trees. There's a couple of passions of mine.
Moringa. Yep. Bro, I was just thinking, like, the fact that you started at first, I was like, man, why the hell is he shilling all the bad parts of Mafia? This is not making me interested. And then I was like, wait, we're in a fucking we're essentially in a bear market. So even if he was shilling the good stuff about it, it's not like anyone would be like moving forward and taking the crazy action. It's like that stuff starts happening when people start feeling good. That's when people start doing the whatever. So it's like we might as well get the bad stuff out, like air it out, teach people how this system works, and like get the education part started, because selling to a cold crowd is not really a good it's not a good activity to undertake. But if you educate like the cold crowd instead of selling them, like at some point the feeling's going to change, at least in this dynamic
also,
where go ahead.
It's also a sophisticated sales move that you have to have a bit of mastery and experience to pull off, because the question I'll ask is, who do you want to trust or listen to more? The person who says, all right, guys, this is shit, but I have a plan, and there's, rewards for engaging if you want to. Do it or don't. It's dangerous. I'm here to help if you want as a resource, but ultimately it's up to you. And I'm not necessarily going to be the shoulder for you to cry on if and when shit hits the fan, because I'm telling you that now, that that's part of the process you're signing up for. Or the guy who comes in and says, hey guys, look how awesome this is. It's gonna be like, it's just, people feel sleaze. People know the fucking polish to the bullshit. I have those skills. That's not what I want to share with the community, is the experience of them having an expectation that's set up here and getting delivered this. I already know the risk to deliverance, so I'd rather tell them, try to under promise, get their expectations way down here, but curious enough to maybe give it a try, and then actually once they get in, find out that I undersold it, and they sell themselves on their own experience. It's actually a lot more cool than I came in giving it credit for. That's a strategy. It's one that can backfire on you for sure if you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, or how to present it in a way to where people are likely to at least find it entertaining enough to listen to the first time, and then maybe be like, you know what, let me check it out and see for myself. Then sure, you're gonna bomb out, and nobody's gonna do what the call to action that you're asking them to do. But also, for me, another thing that makes this why I chose to do it the way that I did is, even if nobody opens up the tab and goes and checks it out or starts a profile, this will still have been worth my attempt at. So I won't have hit the target on getting people to help me in my mission of going after GIF, but it's still a useful exercise for me in presenting this information, offering it to the world, and refining my process, both for this protocol and later for other things that I care about. So it's like the Elon Musk anecdote where he says, even if I failed, it was worth trying.
Mm-hmm. It's not, there are no failures, only lessons.
It's that casino game mentality I mentioned, is that the act of getting this information out there, or attempting to, is worth the effort to me. It's in outcome independence is the way that Rollo Tomasi and the other Manosphere guys tend to call it, is you have to have independence outcome, because that gives you the air of confidence. But for me, it's truly enough. I take the time before I do things to evaluate, is this worth my fucking time? I got 4 kids. I got real estate businesses. Yeah. I got shit to do. Like, oh yeah, I try to be friendly and engaging and gracious with my time and energy when I'm with people, even though I know they aren't going to respect it or appreciate it the way that I do. It's mine. That's my job, is to have standards of what I find tolerable or intolerable, or worth engaging. And I try to be thoughtful and meaningful about that, and taking that responsibility of, before I do something, what control mechanisms do I have access to, in order to make that experience a win-win for me. So,
well, and that's how you can, that's how you can find people that are worth investing in, is when you give freely that gift of your time and your considerations and your respect and attention and things. When you find people that reciprocate, when you find people that invest that right back, that's how you generate your own wealth of the human resource, right? Your community that you're building, the people that you want to put on your team and level up in your circle of friends and things. So
Exactly.
I look at it from like a selfish perspective, and I think that it's totally awesome to go out there and be abundant and be giving of like respect and attention things, because then you can catch on to who else out there is also doing that same thing. You'd be like, aha, I need to invest extra in this person, so that way I have more cool players on my team, and that way I can be a cool player on other people's cool teams and things. So that's my like objectivist look at it. You were saying that there was a person though who had a quote.
Well, I will in a second, but I was going to say an even better way of putting what you're just communicating is, because when you say giving of your time freely, people understand what you mean. But as a word nerd, I'm going to offer that a better way of putting it is giving of your time in a way that is self-fulfilling, aimed at external enjoyment and utility. And what happens is that gives you the freedom to go out and to do the iteration, to shoot the arrows, to act again and again and again with more frequency, because you're less impeded by not achieving by the fear of not achieving your outcome. Once you have that outcome independence, you've decided that you found a way to make yourself fulfilled in and unto the actions themselves. What ends up happening is the people that end up finding you worth sticking around or paying attention to or getting value or utility from your self-fulfilling actions, that's going to compound, and they're going to continue to be a part of your life and to provide the benefit and experience you're getting from them, because by association, because your existence has proven to be of utility to them and worth paying attention to, because that is the number one resource that a lot of us have. I like team or meat, because either one works. You have your time, your energy, your attention, and then money is the capital that we basically all agreed to as a medium of exchanging energy and other resources. But so protect your team or protect your meat. Because how you spend your time, what you choose to pay attention to, and what you choose to exchange energy or money with, that literally creates the worlds that you experience, first internally, and then manifesting into your external environment through the choices that you're making because of your internal environment, and then back to internally because your environment is impacting you, and then just back and forth. So paying attention to how you're spending your time, your energy, your attention, and your money is going to make you much more aware of, and the value that you place on those things, and how interchangeable that value is amongst one another and amongst other assets, including relationships with people. That gives you the tools that you need to try to articulate to yourself to understand how to try to navigate in a way that's meeting your goals more often. And one of the ways of meeting your goals more often, again, is just shooting more arrows, because you're going to miss more, but you're going to hit more too. So there is a cost and a benefit to frequency.
Yeah, the person that shoots one arrow, they might have like 100% success rate, but they'll also more likely than not have 100% failure rate. The more arrows you shoot, obviously the more hits you're going to get and the more misses, and that's also how you learn how to get less misses and you increase over time and all that stuff. It's just about give yourself permission to fail, make the mistakes, move forward, recalibrate.
Giving yourself a safe environment and parameters within which to fail, because once you trust that once you evaluated or built and trust an environment that's what frees you up to be able to actually do it. You're not, and if you just do it regardless of the safety of that choice, that's literally a fool's errand. So again, just expecting it to happen, it's not universal that it's always safe to try. It's not always safe to fail. But learning what you need to learn so that you can build environments and spaces for you to practice in, for you to, play around in, that's an opportunity and a gift that you have to take responsibility. It's a compound word. It's literally your ability to respond. So the more skills that you have, the more knowledge that you have, the better able you are to navigate a situation. the better able you are to respond, and the more free you feel by your ability to make life happen instead of feeling that it's happening to you. So that's my goal, is to try and empower people, whether it's through a Mafia protocol or, you know, a talk I gave 10 years ago on technology that's coming out to save the world, or change the world. Cool stuff, honestly.
How do you want to empower people with Mafia?
So if we could pull up the screen that I presented really quickly, I'm going to run through the resources that they can dive into without all of my tangents, or with them if they want to DM or otherwise find me, at and on their own pace. Cool. So the first link that I would direct people to, right here at the top, docs.playmafia.io. What this is, it's going to take you to the wiki that tells you everything that you might want to know about Mafia, from its origins, how it was minted and distributed, the token contracts, creating a profile, going through all the various the rollout plans and the phases, what stage of completions they're at, up to. Sorry, I'm just reading this for the first time.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'm gonna have to find out what this is. So up to whatever this new phase that's just been. This is a living wiki, is how it's been referred to. So it is not constantly changing, but it is open to edits and changes, and it's worth keeping up with. So this is a tool that you want to have bookmarked, and as I just made a public demonstration of, keeping tabs with, to find out what's going on in Mafia land. The first page that I want to direct people to is going to be way down. We'll go to this one first. So story mode is probably how you're going to get started in the game after you have set up a profile, which we'll cover in a second. Story mode guides new players to the game with clear, structured to-do list. Each mission teaches key mechanics, etc. So there's examples, there's a leaderboard, you get a speed bonus. When you claim the entire story mode, you will be able to claim a mystery box. This box will contain a valuable random item. So a mystery box, if you were to buy it off the market, I think is $100.
They're like loot boxes, right?
Yeah. So there's loot boxes in the game for both in-game assets and also for perks to your account. For example, something to make you be able to have a higher success rate from crime, or to have a lower cooldown on your travel. These are some of the things that you could get from some of the various loot boxes that are in the game. The wiki claims that during progress story mode, you'll be able to claim new rewards for each group of tasks you complete. The total amount of rewards is estimated to be around $300. I cannot verify this for you yet, although there is a little ranking table here that I can tell you that helper credits, keys, perk boxes, all of these numbers that are given are not subjective. They're not subject to market conditions. These are all hard prices that it would cost you to buy those things from the protocol if you were to do so. Maybe you could get a deal on the market, but these are the actual values. So I can verify at least these. I haven't calculated them, but I'm assuming if the math is correct, then these are accurate estimates of the type of value that you could get from completing story mode. On top of that, I, as a real estate mogul, am willing to offer anyone who onboards from this stream or otherwise, at my discretion, both real estate and other in-game assets, as well as a place in a top family, a relatively powerful one, in order to help give you access to more components of the game and hopefully provide a little bit of security and guidance in your journey, if that's something that you wish to join us on. I can give you the onboard gifts, whether you want to play solo or start your own family. Again, I'm just happy to have anyone taking away from GIF and also going on the journey to find out what they're going to find for themselves. So story mode will be probably, you will start to look in order to learn the game a little bit after familiarizing yourself with the wiki and creating a character. After you have created a character, I'm not going through all this right now. We spent a lot of time, so I'm going to try to roadrunner as much as possible. My tendency to get given. But I do want to hit some specific plot points. So under the Mafia game, a little bit above the story mode tab is a tab that says scripting. This is a set of tools that the dev has delivered to the community in order to empower and enable them to set up their own browser-based scripting bots to run on accounts if that's what they want to, part of how they want to play the game. There's argument and debate over, there's feelings about it, regardless of people's feelings, it's here. I will say part of the rationale of it being here is that it's a very difficult component of a mouse and keyboard digital input game to be able to try to build around. Essentially, if you have developers that are motivated or sophisticated enough, there's almost always going to be a way for them to spoof manual clicks in an automated way, or to build an environment to automate what is very difficult for the dev team to discern between automated and manual clicks. So instead of fighting it, the dev is given the toolkit to the community to do what they will with. He's also added another profit or revenue stream for him, but mechanism to help buffer the efficacy of scripters in the game. And that is a component called helper bots. So helper bots are actual in-game scripts that are running for you within the protocol itself, that even whenever you have helper bots running, you're still able to continue manual actions. So if you wanted to be the most powerful, you could have helper bots running for you as a pay-to-win option while using dev skills or the skills delivered to you by a dev to have browser scripts running. So I mentioned that right now, without kill function, your ability to get paid is going to be largely based off of your willingness to participate and the skills that you have when participating. These are ways to leverage other people's skills that have been offered to the community. These are not maintained. And again, on the don't trust but verify, make sure that you honor all of your own personal and operational security protocols. So there's 2 files to download. One's 13 megabits, one's a kilobyte. And then there's 2 browser extensions. One is a Ravi wallet and the other is a script runner that you have to be willing to engage in order to do it this way. It's going to be up to you to understand the risks associated with that. And I would say at least, for example, one best practice is if you have a crypto wallet that is your vault, don't use it to play this game. Don't use it to connect to this software. Don't use it. Don't use anything that you don't want to risk. Have layers of separation. You start with a clean wallet. If that's, even if it just helps to make you, if it helps you sleep better at night. If it doesn't and it's meaningless to you and it's not worth the effort, that's a personal choice. But there are risks with downloading software. So these 2 files are essentially to automate your browser to be able to find the pop-up menu whenever you have a transaction come through on your Ravi wallet and to automatically confirm it for you. That's what these 2 files are for. They're a script that is running on your system on Windows to try to browse your screen or your client to try to find that confirm button and to automatically push transactions through on your connected wallet. Now you can limit, again, the exposure by limiting the wallet that you're connected to. And if you're going to be running multiple accounts, my advice is I have one account that is a master account that I've imported from a seed phrase that I have all of my Mafia accounts loaded into. And then I have a separate Google profile set up So like Mafia 001, 002, 003, and the Rabby wallet on that Google profile browser profile is only connected to one wallet account via the private key that I actually copy pasted from my master account to make it faster. So there's a couple of technical logistical ideas on setting up multiple, getting 30 or 50 bots running for you. You can basically it doesn't take a lot to run these things. So I mentioned the auto acceptor. The only other thing that's running is this script that Jacob coded up. And what you do is you download an extension called Tamper Monkey. So I'm going to open up here. You just type in a Google Tamper Monkey. The Google Chrome Web Store. It'll say install extension up here. You come up to your browser extensions. I have both that one and Rabby pinned. The first time after installs, you're going to want to right click it, manage it, and there's two buttons you want to make sure are toggled. Up here, developer mode at the top, and in the middle, allow user scripts. And if you're setting up multiple Google Chrome profiles, you're going to have to download the extension for that profile and go through these steps for each one time. So once you have those two things enabled, it's literally a matter of taking Jacob's code here, copy. Now instead of right click, you left click it. I'm wrong. I have it disabled. When it's enabled, you'll have find new script. Sorry, wrong.
Oh, you're good.
When it's enabled, there will be a bar here called create new script. You want to delete everything that's there. That's not delete. My phone is on my keyboard. And you have to do it, there might be a better way to do it, but this is how I found to do it. So delete everything that's there. You Control V, save it. Boom. So it'll bring you to this. Now there's one thing that you're gonna definitely have to change to make it work, and there are other things that are optional because this was pushed out before Jacob changed the domain that the game was running on. And the other things are, if you're playing on Pulse, there's actually two things that'll be helpful to fix. So first, this script was created for the BNB. So you find all BNB, replace all BNB with PLS. Enter.
Okay.
And then up here at line 9, where it has the site that you're connecting to, it says plsmafia.io. What you're going to want to do after PLS, fine. The current website is pls.playmafia.io. And once you've saved it with the correct site and you're looking at it, it should say site right here. But the way that you know it's working is whenever you go to pls.playmafia.io, when I refresh the page here, there is now a floating menu up here that says redirect every with an option, click delay, travel vehicle, car theft slot, crime slot, kill slot. And then it has these action buttons to toggle on or off: bust out, kill skill, travel, market, crime, car theft, which are all actions that this script running on your browser on the Tamper Monkey extension is going to automate through the client for you. And then the two files that you downloaded for the Rabby auto acceptor and the auto IT helper, which gives you a bar like this in order to control it, to freeze it. Those are going to automatically accept the Rabby confirmations that pop up for you whenever it happens. Then there's a toggle button to prioritize whether you want to focus on getting experience or making more money, which is only relevant to the it's to the market action. And that's something that you're going to want to turn off in the beginning, because you're until you're ranked up to a certain level, you can't actually engage in the buy, sell narcotics warehouse or the booze market, which is what those actions are automating for you. Okay. So the other actions it's automating is travel, which is a huge experience in the game relative to other activities that you can do. Doing the basic crime and car stealing that gives you experience and in-game cash and cars that you can put in your garage, sell, or crush for bullets. Eventually, Bullet Crusher is a business asset that people own right now, but it's one of the phases that's still not rolled out yet, despite vault payouts being in 20 days, he said snidely.
Yeah.
Anyways,
well, the bullets aren't very useful if they can't be used to kill people.
That's true. That's why it's less of a priority, but that's the point. Is it was supposed to be an equal. It should have been a first priority because the kill function is supposed to be the same priority. But that's a circle to go back on to the Mafia chat with.
Real
but yeah,
quick,
that's honestly the bulk of it. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, can we do like a broad scope, because we're kind of going through a whole bunch of very specific like script running and functionality.
That was setting up a script that I wanted to show you. Now I can show you some of the. I'm going to turn it off and show you some of what it's actually doing. So the wiki is there for you to go deeper than we're probably going to have the time to cover it. As you see, there's so much of it. This is the wiki. Sure. And then this is the actual website itself. So there's two components to the website. This is the Pull Stop Play Mafia tab, and it has all of these options that we're going to go through some of. One of them is the map, which I pulled up one of the maps here to show you guys. So this is Bogota. This is and all of this highlighted stuff is owned by a sister family, kind of a premier family that I'm associated with. But they have, I picked it because it's a little prettier. It has the river running through it. And you have 4 different kind of tiles. So you have basic common tiles. You have upper tiles that are the green ones here. And then you have elite tiles, which are the gray ones. And it's different on each map. And then you have strategy tiles, which are relevant to your family headquarters, which determines how many people you can have in your family before you're not, in order to keep, you have to have a big enough headquarters to cover your people. Or if you go over that, then you're not going to be qualified for the vault. You're going to be kicked out of vault qualification. So it's one of the incentives to keep people developing and in alignment with their growth. Meeting certain objectives. So this is Bogota. Another one I can show you is Caracas. This is one that I have a large stake in as the dawn of community college. Matter of fact, I had all of this stuff that's blank. I actually owned a couple of weeks ago, but I went to the exchange and turned it in for basically a fifth of what I paid for it. Just because I had so many of them, it was more worthwhile to me to go ahead and offload those, use the capital, even 20% of it to compound and compile and other things that I have. And I can go back and get them back if and when I want or need them later, unless somebody else does it for me. Here's our HQ down here. We've got some apartments. There's, a bunch of villas, office, and here's even a hotel from someone else in another family. What I like about this city is actually how segmented the road makes a lot of the places. So on the elite tiles, which are the ones that are going to give you the most defense and offense, so you're going to want to have, for example, a top player might want to have a hotel, which is the largest building that you can have. There's 4 levels of building that you get paid for, which is office, apartment building, mansion, and then hotel. But you're going to, which I actually need to, I'm going to upgrade this mansion right now.
This is getting paid with in-game cash, right? Not cryptocurrency.
Right. So what you do, well, tomato, potato, because the in-game cash, so for example, this 31 million that I have right here, if I want to turn that into something that I can spend at Walmart, I go over to the exchange tab here, and there are single-sided liquidity pools put up for players to put their cash on the market. So I could put up, you know, $5 million, and I can decide what ratio I want to put it at, and it's going to buy from the highest ratio, which is the least expensive, to the lowest ratio. So for example, this is selling in-game cash to Mafia. So this is either one Mafia per in-game cash or vice versa. Yeah, this is the bigger number, 5 million. So 1 to 36. So this would get me 154,000 Mafia once it's sold, which is equivalent to $67. And you can see on here, you can see the chart of people, the conversion rate. So this is affected by both what the conversion rate that people are setting it at, as well as the Mafia price. Because if you sell $1 million cash for 100,000 Mafia token, and the Mafia token is worth 10 cents or 50 cents, well, the 50 cents, it's obviously 100,000 Mafia token is going to be 5 times as valuable in US dollars as whenever it's at 10 cents. So this chart is reflexive of the actual Mafia token and the ecosystem health in that way. If we scroll back to one of my favorite little spikes, this was my birthday last year. So the price has gone as high as for in-game cash. I was helping, this was pretty fresh, and I was helping to support the liquidity providers on top of my real estate purchasings at that time. But you can go through.
Say, that was another real life real estate turned into cryptocurrency fun times via Mr. Moondog. If my memory serves me correct,
it is. It's a part of my real estate game that I'm playing in this, wrapped in this Mafia game. So you can also buy in-game cash off of the exchange from the deposit function. You can convert various assets for it to try to give you an offer on, including your land. That's what I mentioned doing the other day, where I got back some of the value of assets that I had bought. So if you have land or machine guns or other in-game items that obviously no one outside of Mafia is ever going to care about, you can go to the exchange it for in-game cash, and then you take that in-game cash, put it on the market for members to give you Mafia for, and then you go to a DEX and you can turn that Mafia into USDC, Pulse, whatever floats your fancy. OTC is also available here. Somebody's offering 5 perk boxes for 5 million. So since these are NFT'd items, and when cash was originally rolled out before it became an in-game contract function, there were an NFT with bundles of cash that were a part of the loot boxes. So somebody is requesting either one of those NFTs or potentially, because I don't think you can buy. Yeah, you can't accept this unless you have one of those NFTs. You can't use regular cash to buy this. But so that's a crazy dude is an accurate title for whoever put this up, because that's a crazy deal. I don't know anyone who's still holding on to those NFTs right now. It was a part of the rollout and development function. Keys is another part of the game, and the perk boxes. So this is one of the places where you would be able to buy those things, perk boxes for loot boxes. And here's one of the uses for keys would be to open the other loot boxes, cash, bodyguards, Mafia, even up to 5 million Mafia is a top. So what you do is you would use a key. It's going to roll through one menu going through each of these: cash, shop item, bodyguards, etc. And then it'll roll a second time going up and down to determine which level you get. So you got a lot of people, especially early game, that were investing money into getting. This is how the initial distribution of assets was put out. Now it's mostly support items. But there's always that chance to, get 1 million or 5 million Mafia, which is worth a pretty penny. If the RNG rolls that well for you, there is 28 million of the original 50 million that was put into that pool still available for people to claim. So that's another one of the loot boxes.
Nice.
Before you want to go spending money, though, if you want to play this kind of free, beyond the scripts, or even if you're just doing it manual, you got a crimes page. You attempt a crime. I'm actually not, because there's a chance I might end up in jail. It's a low chance, but that'll stop me from being able to show you guys as much, or I have to do extra steps and change profile. But actually, let's go ahead and do it so you can see there's a 3
That's
out
how
of
you do crimes. Click on Ravi.
Yep. So that was me manually accepting. If you have an auto acceptor running, one more note it's worth throwing out there for people to listen to on the replay if they're trying to recreate. It helps to have as many of your boxes up high on your screen as possible, because if that Ravi menu it tends to pop up where the menu the screen that it's popping up for is. And if you have it too low on the screen, sometimes the blue button will be below your taskbar, and so the bot can't find it, and you'll have stuff pile up on you.
Oh, wow.
This is not functioning right now, so I'm going to refresh it.
That's one of those good tips learned by sinning. We miss, and then we learn. We shoot again.
So you got crimes. We can run. I can do this quickly. You got Nick Car, which is basically another type of function to get in-game cash, potentially get a car. Here's where you can travel between the various cities. You can use an airplane, costs a bit more, but you can do it every hour. A train is every 4 hours, and it's the least expensive. And then if you have a car or motorcycle, you can use it to travel every 2 hours. Again, that's a great way to farm XP, which is eventually going to go into your worth. So here is a sample of a worth table. It tells you the various things that you're getting worth for. So I have my rank. That's going to be your biggest one. You have your role in the family. So being a Don, that gives me a fairly high worth there. If you're a city developer, meaning you own the majority share of a city, then that's worth a certain amount. You got your race skill, kill skill, bust out skill. And then you have assets that you're holding: bullets, cash. If you're holding a business, the highest level of real estate that you have on that account, how much land that you have your Mafia staked in, actually active in, how much Mafia you're holding, how much money you spent on health or credits, and if you are paying for the monthly premium subscription to have your account not have a click limiter of 10 clicks per minute. And also you get various other side benefits like a worth boost increase, which is obviously potentially useful if you're trying to get you're up in the top and you're trying to vie for payouts. Having that 15% boost could be the difference between getting paid, not getting paid at all, getting paid more or less. Boom, coming back up. So once you reach a certain rank, we did travel. There's a chance that you fail your crimes that you're trying or your cars that you're stealing. You get to go to jail and spend some time not being able to do anything unless somebody busts you out or you get bribed out. If you're trying to bust out your buddies, that is you have a bust out skill that will accumulate as you have success in that action. So that's one of the things that it's worthwhile for the script to run for you, or to do as often as you can manage doing on your own, with there being a 10-minute timer between attempts, and also the risk of going to jail for more than 10 minutes if you fail. But if you succeed, you get your buddy out of jail and you get some skill that actually goes towards your worth. That could be a bigger payout. If you fail, there's actually two ways to fail. You can fail and get away, so you don't go to jail, but you don't get your buddy out and you don't get any skill reward. Or you can get caught, in which case you don't get your buddy out of jail, you don't get any skill reward, and you go to jail until your time's up or somebody bribes or busts you out. So that's jail. Its first use was actually against protocol abusers, by the way. So when the jail feature rolled out, the first people that were put in jail were people who had abused the exchange function whenever whenever it rolled out. So that was a fun little part of Mafia history and a little milestone in its utility. There was some consequence for those people, but not nearly what was merited. Go ahead.
What was the? Can you like describe the crime and describe the punishment, like the times, I guess, quantify it sort of?
Absolutely. So what happened is when the exchange rolled out, one of the first features that was taken advantage of and not necessarily labeled as abuse, but by the actions that the dev took, you could understand that it was not intended. So repeating it is what's going to qualify the second phase as abuse. So when it first came out, a lot of people were doing the math of a key costs $20, and they were doing the perk box math of how much does it cost me to roll? What are the chances of me getting something that's worth more than $20? And even if I get less than $20, if I'm accumulating a bunch of stuff, how much can I recapture by going to the exchange and offloading, converting those items back into in-game cash? So,
infinite money glitch, arbitrage.
Not infinite money, but it was definitely an incentive for people to spend money, because you're having to spend real money to roll those boxes. But the risk was mitigated, because even if you didn't get a good roll, at least you could get a partial part of your capital back, and then over enough fails that gives you money to do more rolls. So the mitigation from the exchange was enough that people were heavily using the functions. The problem is it freaked the dev out. So he said, "Oh, this isn't what we meant. There's too much inflation happening of in-game cash, because people are essentially buying too much. Like, they're putting real money into the protocol to store in the protocol and basically bringing the whole, system up to real value." He said it's too much, and he shut the whole thing off while he tweaked it. So that's the precedent. The abuse is after he shut it off. One of the first things that he decided to bring back into its functionality was simply land tiles, so that people who had bought overage, because you were getting it randomly. So if you're trying to get a consolidated chunk, you had to be willing to spend overage, or otherwise had stuff that they didn't want anymore, could have a way to recapture some of that value back. To be honest, I instigated a part of that potentially with quite a bit of my crying about how disempowered users were from not having any functionality at all. So I mentioned that there are 4 types of land tiles. What happened is that the most rare type of land tile, which is a strategy tile, the ones that are needed to make your family HQs function, what people found out is there was an infinite money glitch there, because it wasn't simply a matter of, oh, I spent $20 on a key to maybe get $50. Oh, shoot, I only got 10. Well, let me go turn it into 10 so I can spend it again. It was they were getting enough from the exchange, and then they were able to sell it on the market for more than they were paying. So they spent $20 for a key, or if they use a key to unlock that specific strategy tile. There was a time where the pulse chain map was completely bought out, largely with help from yours truly and several other big players. So, but a couple of those other big players decided that they would. So if they traded in only one tile, they knew that they were getting more than $20 for it, because the value of cash was, $20 per million, and they were getting, say, 1.5 million. So they were getting $30. They would, sell 5 of their tiles, go throw that on the exchange, get 150 back, then use 100 of it to buy those 5 tiles back, because those are the only 5 that are available at that time whenever the map was bought out. And they were abusing it in an infinite money glitch. So GIF was and I'll be honest, I put some responsibility on the dev for making the functions and controls math correctly in order for the system to be properly balanced. The fact that the function was there and people were using it, if it weren't for the fact that the dev had already made it clear that that was not intended, then it would be much harder for me to fault. I don't fault the guys who did the first round of stuff. It's like, we thought that's what it's for. It's there literally to give us our value back, at a mitigated or at a cost or at a benefit, depending on how our investment played out on current market conditions across time on current market conditions, right? So I honestly disagreed with him turning it off the first time and the precedent behind it. But the problem is he set a precedent. He asked the community to respect it. People with skills found out about it and abused the hell out of it, knowing that it was not what was intended, until other people found out about it, complained. There was no action. So those other people there was no corrective action. So those other people started doing it because it seemed condoned at that point. When those other people started doing it, the person who was initially abusing it, and some friends that he had, but anyways, GIF decided, oh, let me report it, because that way these other people can't catch up with the advantage that I've already stolen. And that's what happened. So that was what happened. The consequence was when Jacob rolled out the jail, he did it with an announcement that the following users have been documented abusing this mechanic this number of times. All of those assets are going to be taken back, or the gain from that we've calculated that they've stolen from the community are going to be clawed back to them, starting with this asset and this asset and this asset from their inventories. And also they're going to spend the next however many days or whatever it was in jail, unable to, I guess, start ranking or whatever was available at that time. They were unable to play the game because they were in jail. But of course, everybody was in Telegram, just basically everyone who was in jail didn't feel it that much as a punishment. It was really the clawback that was the punishment. But being in jail was like a badge of honor, like, oh, and so that's the story.
That's kind of funny.
But now jail is just the main part of the mechanics of how much time do you have available to get ahead, and how are you spending that time, and how effective is that strategy. So with that, we did jail. You got kill skill. This is going to be important when we can actually kill, but you can at least start training it now. There's a free option and a couple options that cost money. It is hard as hell to get any traction on. You are going to fail, it feels like, almost every time, but again, it's important. So it's one of those things that's worth chopping away at or buying off of the market when it's available. Here is the helper bot page. So these are some of the various activities that you can buy to help you with. Here's boom. Here is a racing tab. There are no active races where I'm at least, but if there were, the Jacob server also seemed, or Pulse Chains RPC, one of the two, has also seemed to be giving trouble the past 2 days. So there's some functions that weren't available and therefore are being underutilized right now. We went to the map and I showed one of those. Not much left, honestly, even though it looks like a lot. You got the booze and narcotics tabs, which are basically two other ways of doing crime, but instead of selecting and having instead of just selecting and having a percent of it failing or not, you have to choose what items you are going to buy. These you have certain amount allowed per rank that you're at. And the idea here is actually to engage in arbitrage, because these prices are updating constantly, both the booze and narcotics markets. The goal is to buy whatever it is whenever it's low, and then either wait for a price change or travel to another city where the prices are different. And certain regions have, booze that's more expensive, always at a more expensive range or cheaper range. And then, certain places that have narcotics. So the idea is learning the trade routes. You can look into the code to find out what those values are if you wanted to, or you could just spend the time gathering some data and figuring it out yourself. But this is another way to accumulate in-game cash that you could, again, potentially sell on the market, or it's another major part of ranking up, which is what's going to contribute to your worth points, which is going to decide your payout, and also how hard you are to kill when that time comes. There's going to be variables around. A brand new player isn't going to be able to attack somebody who's ranked, up to a Godfather or type level. Not necessarily, doesn't matter whether they're Dawn of the family, it's about their rank. I think it's going to be something like 3 rank. You're going to be able to, they mentioned, but again, everything's subject to change, like 3 ranks up or 1 rank down. So you also don't have bullies who have spent some time building up a profile, just spawn camping all the newbies as they come in. You have to be within a certain range in order to go at each other. And then what the kill function is going to be, it's going to be there's the idea of there being a simulation for you to understand and learn it before actually executing, which is probably going to cost something. There's also safe house mechanics that will be available to purchase so that you can be safe from it for a certain amount of time. But players are going to need to know where you're at, which means hiring detectives to get that information, and then execute on it while it's still valid. Then what's essentially going to happen, Jacob's going to come up with an algorithm that's going to take all the variables. It's going to take your offense and your defense, and that's determined by your equipment, by your all of the different things, and there's going to be some RNG to it, and that's going to be the kill function, which we'll find out more about whenever it is around. So you have also, here's a jackpot haul. There's only one in the protocol. I took it upon myself to buy it when it was put up on the market, because this is one of those things that I can manage. Well, it doesn't work. I can't, but I get the fees off of it. There's basically people put up assets to roll against each other. It all goes into a pool. This thing spins, and there's you'll have your part of it. All the participants will have their part of it, and whoever it lands on gets the entire pot, minus a nominal fee that eventually accumulates, and I am able to claim as a part of my business ownership of this asset. The jackpot haul is a similar. This is the jackpot haul. The lottery haul is another asset that was rolled out at the same time as this one, after all the other business assets. I believe GIF owns that one. It's not functional yet, but here's the fun difference between it and this one. So it's also the only other asset that's protocol wide. So all the other ones, slot machines, roulette, bullet crushers, hospitals, banks, all of these, there's one in each city. So there's 11 on each chain. But for the jackpot haul and lottery haul, there's only one protocol wide. The lottery haul, you can read more in the wiki, but it mentions that there's an additional risk of whoever the winner is, the owner has the option to pay out or to run off with everything without paying. Here, I'm actually going to find it to read it.
It's funny that GIF has that one.
And it's so funny that GIF is the one that ended up with it, because what are the odds that functionality is just being calculated or byted to best be taken advantage of? So many.
How
place now, pre-ranking perks open for business. Jackpot Hall lives. Gotta be down here then. Well, it is in here somewhere. Here we go. In-game assets. There are 2 significant differences to a lottery hall versus other business. Business will be added to the owner owns it in all cities protocol wide. The business item has no risk to the owner. So again, the jackpot hall and the lottery hall, they both, we're not subject to potentially losing them from not having enough liquidity, because we don't have to provide liquidity. The earning, they're pots that the players are paying to play and potentially win. The difference between this one, though, so it's a player versus player service where the owner gets a guaranteed fee. The item can only be lost through killing or transfer. In the lottery hall, the owner can run away with the entire lottery purse at any time they see fit, but that might be dangerous. Think twice before doing so. So apparently it's going to draw every 72 hours, and the protocol is going to mint the initial deposits. But yeah, as opposed to the jackpot hall, there's no option for me to run off with people's stuff, even if I wanted to, which I don't.
Yeah.
I just don't have the risk of losing it to liquidity. But I get a 3% fee of the player versus player pot. So whoever wins, there's 3% is taken from whatever the in-game cash is of it. But there's actually ways to play it without me getting paid, because if you're using certain assets, like if only perk boxes and keys, people are only betting perk boxes and keys, for example, against each other, there's no way for the protocol to take 3% of that and convert it into in-game cash for me. I mean, there probably is, but it's not. I don't believe that it's coded in there according to when we asked Jacob when it first came out. I actually had to message him last week just to get my worth points for owning the jackpot hall, because you only get worth for one asset per profile. Like one business. So I had multiple businesses that I was holding on the same character. Now that vault payouts are coming, I moved those businesses across multiple characters so that I'm getting all of the worth points for owning all of them. But whenever I moved it, I found out that the jackpot hall, I assume because it came in after all the other business items, there was a bug and it wasn't recognizing it. So I had to be like, Jacob. He fixed that one for me relatively quickly.
That's good. They fixed it for the whole protocol. You just happen to have it right now.
True. And it was me who cried about it. And then the next day said, hey, why haven't you responded to me yet publicly? And he said, and then somebody else was actually white knighting for him, trying to tell me some bullshit. And I was like, I don't buy your bullshit. And then he kept going. I was like, okay, don't buy it. Get out of my face. And he went on long enough that Jacob finally came in and said, no, this is what it is. It's a bug. I'll fix it. And then the next day it was fixed. So
that's good.
That worked out. And that was
at least there's some recourse.
Yeah, for sure. And it's definitely worth attempting and engaging, but it's worth doing so in a knowledgeable way, not expecting outcomes that aren't always going to happen up front. So knowing that your feedback could be more or less appreciated, it just helps to have steeled yourself against that on the front end for your own personal mental health.
We had a quick question from one of the audience members. Mr. Just Live a while ago has asked, what is the cost of basically starting up an account? Now I know that it could be zero, but what's like the reasonable amount of investment that a person would expect to put in when starting the game?
So it used to cost 2,000 Mafia, which would be a variable depending on how well the Mafia token is doing. Jacob has just to create a character. Jacob has since taken away that fee, especially since he's been able to find enough other mechanisms in the build out so far to where it's unnecessary, or at least an unnecessary friction point. So the cost to get started, playmafia.io/get started. And then I actually have a reference link that I can put in the comments. If people want to, the first time, since they don't have one of their own accounts to use their own reference link, if or when they complete story mode, I would get a key, which is worth $20 as a reward. And they also would get it's a key. It's no longer 100,000 Mafia, but in addition to those other items that were listed on the story mode page, they would also get a key and for completing story mode. And then if they set up a bunch of alts, they can set themselves as the referral link, and both of their accounts will get a key whenever they finish story mode. And I say that because also when Jacob changed the $100,000 Mafia reward to a key, which I found out about in the past couple days, or which happened in the past couple days, at that same time, I also found out he had changed what is still an in-game warning to not abuse referral and story mode to farm a bunch of assets. And because some of the people that either he likes or doesn't want to piss off, we're the first ones to effectively do that. Apparently his guidance has changed to, it's a good thing for the protocol, please farm it. So there's blessing. And I'm like, hey, fine. Getting a couple of keys on each of my alts is a win for me. But you are free to I was actually going to avoid doing story mode on all of my self referrals and stuff, because I wanted to follow the disclaimer that had been asked and still exists in the game. But apparently that information has changed from the devs' personal communications in the telegrams, which is a great place to keep updated, although not the safest place for sensitive sensibilities, especially. But the cost, as far as the reasonable cost, the 2,000 Mafia fee has been taken away. It's literally free to play to set up as many alts as you are willing to go through that process that I started to show you, and to start running on your computer client. And you could do that with, you could get that started without buying any Mafia, actually. But what's going to happen is once you get to rank Cloak, so you're going to start as a nobody, work up through Apprentice, Pickpocket, and then at this third or fourth, depending on how you want to count it, rank, this is where you have the opportunity to get Vault qualified. And it will cost you 10,000 Mafia to stake into your account to activate your rank in order to get that Vault qualification. As you rank up, there will be more Mafia required. So here's a chart showing up to, an enforcer level. Basically, start at 10,000, 20,000 for the next one, 30,000 for the next one, 40,000 for the next one, 50,000, 60,000, cumulative. Now, there are ways to bring this down. Stake reduction. So your family can have, either by having Mafia that you bought and equipped as a part of your equipment, by having buildings equipped, or by your family making family stakes so that maybe some of the wells in your family can make it cheaper for some of the other players. Those are all opportunities to reduce this potentially up to 90% if they were maxed out. So 10,000 would become 1,000, 20,000 would become 2,000, and 30,000 would become 3,000. So if you had an established family that was able to get that set up, those would be the operating costs to continue to rank up and participate in the Vault payouts. And to give you an idea of what that is in US dollars, let me go to Dex Screener. This is obviously subject to change based off of the value of the Mafia token ecosystem. 10,000 Mafia right now is $4.39. So for under $5, you could bot your way into having a cloak that, if you are able to finagle your way into one of the top families, then as a part of that family, at cloak level, being Vault qualified, there's a potential that you could get some pulse payout for $5 worth of investment. It's not going to be much, likely, but and then it would be $10 at the next level, or 10 extra bucks, so 15 cumulative, $20. So that's an idea. And then also you would need gas. So if you had, it's less than a penny per transaction that's running, maybe a couple hundred pulls. But obviously, if you're running, let's see, 1, 2, 3. If you're running, 20 or 40 operations per hour, and you're doing it across, 30 or 50 accounts, then it starts to come up to a number to where you might have to keep maintenance in mind with, a few bucks or tens of bucks per day in order to have that kind of growth. I honestly haven't been able to do that math yet on the gas cost. Even for my initial capture, much less optimized. That's some of my next steps. But since Vault payouts are in 19 days and 20 hours, I figured it's worth getting some of this information out for people to iterate on their own before waiting for me to have all my shit together and perfectly. But you know, for $100, you could solidly get into a decent rank, a decent family with a single profile if you wanted to just test the waters. And that's here. If we go back to story mode, I can find it just to look at the rewards. The rewards that he mentioned, some of those are liquidatable, so you could sell them on the market. You could take your, you know, if the subscriptions are given to you in NFT, it's not loading right now. His, you know what? BNB is a little bit more reliable. Like I said, RPC. But so if you go to the market here, so someone's selling, you know, GI credits. I didn't mean to do that. Some real estate, and that's the onboarding gift, at least the bulk of the care packages that I'll be giving to people. So due to my personal vendetta and also the devs' initial incentives to try to get more users, there's a potential for you to truly play this game for free if you just take the stuff that we give you and sell it and use that as your operating cost, and then don't put any more into it until you're willing, until you know, unless you're getting something out of it, or until, because there are ways to continue, again, with gas money, continue to engage in the game. You're definitely not going to be as competitive or as effective as somebody who is engaging the Mafia ecosystem, but that is a possibility, and hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah,
because that is,
he had a,
it isn't an it depends answer, but that is several of the answers.
He had another one, which is he played the original game 20 years ago, and they had a never die glitch or a never lose glitch.
So if he's talking about Omerta, which is the Web 2 game that this was based off of, that would be a great question to go into. The BNB telegrams would be easier to find them. Some of them are in the Pulse one too, but pop into the BNB Mafia telegram and to ask the Disturbed family or their associates, because they are professional 20-year players, groups of players that have been playing Omerta for that long, and they know all of the ins and outs and the drama and the history of Omerta. So not my knowledge base, but something that I would hope to be able to answer about Mafia in 20 years for the next generation of kiddos becoming old men.
Excellent. We've also got a couple other folks who have joined us. Shout out to Mr. Fast Abdul, who lets us know that he is indeed here for the tech. Good to see you, Fast. Welcome to the show.
There's a lot of tech here.
Also, oh man, there is plenty of tech.
We stopped me getting into the technical because, you know, that was enough for one shot.
Yeah.
Anyways, like keep going.
Yeah, we've also got Mr. MBS Crypto, which for some reason I cannot pull up.
MBS was a prolific supporter of this ecosystem, alongside when Superman was also a leadership of one of the other families many months ago, before Superman was unfortunately disincentivized to continue playing. And MBS has continued to help Superman out and to put out all of those monster pulse chain updates. And he did me the personal. He's one of the friends that I made in Mafia, to be blunt about it, because we met in Mafia. He didn't necessarily appreciate what was going on, you know, leave to his own whatevers, but he still took the time to message me personally due to the relationship that we had developed in Mafia. So that is a real life example of some of the benefits that you can get, even if this protocol totally craps out. Yeah,
shout out to MBS. He says, good morning, legends. Hope you're having a great day. You must be on the other side of the globe, good sir. For me, it is almost 10 o'clock at night. But yeah, shout out to you, man. Love
Another shout out for MBS is he was the one that made me aware of Rome Gladiator project on Pulse Chain, which is the second true gaming protocol that I've seen on Pulse Chain. So Mafia is the first one I've seen. There's some other ones, the Richie Pulse Wars or whatever. But the Gladiator Rome protocol is one that NBS gave me a heads up on. So I'm going to throw that out there for anyone who wants to go look that up. It's another crypto game, if that's something else that you want to explore or another option that you want to look at. I just don't have the tools to tell you about it.
Excellent. Then we got the gotcha from Mr. Just Live. It's like $100 or so, unless you're not going to be with it.
I guess I was being unintentionally modest, but it's no secret around the established community. Another answer I could have gave is I spent 20 grand on land for my birthday last year.
Oh yeah. I remember you had posted about it in Degen Roundtable, or maybe you had messaged me privately or something, but I know that it was public knowledge that you had just basically fucking map wiped, or maybe not map wiped, but
yeah, I helped Gift. I honestly helped Gift take over Las Vegas first, and then I used the excess to take over a couple of other cities, Miami and Caracas, myself. And then I decided to focus on Caracas because I like some of the unique aspects of that map. And so I used 20,000 to buy keys. I bought 1,200 keys because my birthday's on 12/12, and that was enough for 1,000 keys plus 20% bonus. This made it 1,200. And then I spent 5,000 clearing out the in-game cash liquidity pools to give everyone who was providing liquidity profit, because you have to wait for it. You know, like say you can take it to the exchange and exchange it for Mafia, but that's only if someone buys it. Now there is a inbuilt protocol buy and burn when people are doing some things, but that's dollars at a time. So I went in there and I could, when I was first buying the land, I couldn't tell if I had made a calculation error or if it was because it was just so much that something happened. But I had about $4,000 or $5,000 left more than I thought I would. And so I used that as an opportunity to support it was a total loss for me. Not a total loss, but it was you saw the spike. I would have got a lot more bang for my buck, trickling that in a more responsible way. But I made the active choice to gift the community in a kind of vain way, doing it on my birthday or whatever, or marking it with that.
That's worth it, man.
Credit.
It's like you do the work to build up this valuable real life real estate thing. You take some of the excess from that valuable business and you put it into a fun game, then everybody gets to celebrate. And you can put it on your birthday. That's your prerogative. You're the one that has done the work. So it's like, that's awesome. I think that's really cool.
That is an idea of how much you can spend, and that's on top of I put about. I initially came in with about 50,000 just as my starting. So that was after that, and there are multiple players who have spent 6 figures in this game, including a real life buddy of mine that we will that in real life, even though the name that is fake. We're actually going to leave that name out of here, and we're going to call him Takayo because that's what the community knows him by. This guy is so anonymous and has such high operational personal security in his life that he doesn't exist on the internet at all, except a few select avatars that my relationship has engaged him in. But like I said, he's so private. Like, you've met him in real life, and even the name that you know him by is not his real name.
Oh, that's funny.
He's a ghosty guy. He ghosted me for 9 years one time to be honest, and I'm his best friend.
That's hilarious.
He's also 7'3", richer than most drug lords and real estate moguls that I know, and has a cock the size of a Peruvian dancing horse, according to the multitudes of women that I have heard stories from. One of those is true. The rest is a reminder to don't trust and verify. In a way that he would appreciate.
My God, man, this is fun. This is great, Mr. Moondog. We've covered. Wasn't true. We've covered a lot of stuff today, good sir.
Yes, sir.
If you were to tie it all up in a ribbon, it sounds to me like this game is worth $50,000+ to you, like specifically.
It is.
And the ability for folks to generate real cool intro to crypto lessons by getting some like gamification into liquidity and into learning how to process transactions and to not trust people. There's a learning aspect to it. There's a community moderation with the whole we can eliminate community members like their temporary profiles and they have to work back and get another one kind of thing. There's all sorts of cool stuff that goes into it. If you had to button it down into a little elevator pitch, how do you think you would toss this game out? Or not toss it out, but how do you think you would? Okay.
Right here at the vault, there's 8.5 billion pulse that was worth over $500,000 a few months ago, and I anticipate will be again one day. But 8.5 billion pulse and almost 300 BNB sitting in wallets that are going to be distributed to players on a pay schedule that you have the opportunity to learn about. So, for example, right here, you've got GIF with an account getting 80 million pulse, 50 million pulse, 40 million pulse, 40 million pulse, 40 million pulse, 40 million pulse, and then me, 40 million pulse, and then GIF, someone else. These are all weekly. Man, the US dollars, that's 1,200, 800, these are the payouts that will be happening weekly. It is 10% of the vault amount distributed per week. And if there is positive growth in the Mafia ecosystem, then that becomes a sustainable mechanism for payouts of, relatively the same range to continue. If there is a massive draining and extraction from the system, then those will go down up to, say 13 weeks would be, I think, the quickest it would take to completely drain it based off of it's something that someone had mentioned before. You can check the math yourself, but that there's a potential for it to go down, which in a way is a self-healing mechanism, because when it no longer pays to be a shithead, then maybe you go somewhere else and it gives the ecosystem an opportunity to heal. Of course, it might give you an opportunity to come back as well if you weren't properly eradicated enough in the first place. So kill your enemies completely is a Sun Tzu aphorism. And I think it's one of the rules of power too, is to destroy your enemies totally. Don't leave them wounded and maimed and pissed off with a vendetta to come back at you like GIF did to me.
Be swift.
Here's your lesson, buddy. So he's going to get paid. My elevator pitch is, why not you? And the answer is, that's up to you. You get to choose. It could be you. You got to do some stuff. And the better you do it, the more you get paid. And if you don't do it, you don't get paid. And if you do it, but you screw it up, you might not get paid, or you might get paid a little, but maybe not what you want. But you have the opportunity to get paid and to get paid for doing the world a service and taking away from shitheads who don't deserve to get paid, in my not so humble opinion. That's my
pitch. Fun to go after the boogeyman.
And in a Mafia wrapped context, it gives you a little room to have fun with it, to engage your dark side. Like I said, people know me as the love and light guy, and that is still here at my core. But Moondog, one of the things I learned from Mama Moon, even whenever she's full, she has a whole ass half of her that's known as the literal dark side.
Yep. And it's like the Crusaders wore white and they eradicated problems, or what they perceived was problems. So that's awesome. Well, Mr. Moondog, we have been going on for quite a bit of time here. I think the folks at home have got some fantastic stuff. What I'm going to do post stream is I'm going to run this through an AI analyzer and have it take some notes. We'll probably get some quantitative data. We'll probably get some summaries. We might even get an intent analysis. Who knows? This AI does a pretty good 80% solution as far as taking some digestible notes on streams and things. So I'm going to do that. I'll send a copy to you. I'll post it up in the DGen Roundtable. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, that sounds good to me. I am glad to have covered the ground that we covered, even if it wasn't, necessarily all that I anticipated or aimed for. A lot of the parts that I didn't aim for were some of the parts that I appreciate the most. And we got at least the bare minimum, minimum effective dose needed for anyone who might be genuinely interested to have the opportunity. So that is definitely one of the standards that meets good enough for me as far as me being able to be happy with my participation in our output tonight. And also, I am more than glad and willing to come back at another time and riff off a little bit more if it is wanted or called for in some meaningful way that I might find worth articulating.
Hell yeah. I like it, man. We'll have to do it again. I'm definitely down to learn more. And my initial participation in the Mafia world was not satisfactory. So I was like, the more time I spend around you, the more you talk about it, the more I will become interested in it. It's just kind of like, the more of the stuff that you consume, the more that becomes who you are. So if
familiarity is breeds comfort for sure.
Yeah, I like it. Well, thank you, sir. Where can the folks find you anywhere, and what is some stuff you've got going on in the near future?
Absolutely. So you can find me within the Mafia protocol. There's a messaging system built into it. So if you didn't want it, if you don't engage in Telegram or other channels, but you wanted to go into the game and utilize the on-chain, actually these might be stored on the server. I'll have to check that. But utilize the in-game assets. There's the option to message Moondog or the Dawn of Community College, which is Abed. So anybody who's familiar with Dan Harmon, his broadcast network TV show is Community before Rick and Morty, and his most recent one is Crapopolis, which was funded from Crap Chickens, which were NFTs that he used to have a DAO, and people got to vote on certain elements of the first season of Crapopolis. Kind of a cool little crypto tie-in. But they can message me in game. And on Telegram, I am in the Mafia chat. It's pretty easy to find the search function, or just scroll and look for the long ass text boxes. Those are me. It's Moondog spelt like Muni from Star versus the Forces of Evil, MEWN, and then DOGGG, 2 G's. But again, easy enough to find within the Mafia chats. So I'm sure we'll be able to. The Pulse Mafia and B&B Mafia is easy enough to find in Telegram if we don't post links sooner rather than later. And then, I mean, I'm across the socials, though the degree to which I check those is relatively unreliable. And if you're really motivated, I'm actually a best-selling author on a real estate book for a project that I did with a buddy several years ago. And in that book, if you were to order a physical copy on Amazon and read my contribution, you'll actually find my personal cell number at the end of it. So, which is my phone number, or my name, my last name. It's the local area code 800 and then my last name. So those That's are some awesome ways to reach out. Although fair warning, as accessible as I may or may not be, if you get my attention, I'm comfortable enough putting my information out there, because if you're going to waste my time, and either I'm not going to let you, or there's going to be a cost to it. So fair warning.
Yep.
I had
some digging to get into the Moondog sphere, I will say. So
that's by design, especially these past several years where I've been facing real life adversaries in the form of baby mama and court systems and other things where my time and energy has been stretched. A lot of people actually. I found that a lot of people enjoy my company and my experience of life. Unfortunately, I don't have time to get to all those people, especially to the degree of care that I hold myself to the standard of wanting to attend to people that I care about. So I'm actively, I have some unconventional active self-filtering mechanisms that I have activated right now, because I'm at a time in life where I'm not looking for people who are trying to come in half-assed, half-motivated, not give a fuck, or disrespect. Like I'm to a very small group of people that and it's easier for me to filter for the kinds of people and the quality of people that I'm looking to engage with right now by some of the atypical behaviors that I engage in. I know how to act normal. Relatively speaking, but I choose.
You do a great job.
I choose different modes, and I make it. I guess the way of putting it is I make it more or less difficult to be my friend right now. Not out of trying to be special or out of trying to be a cost to people, but simply because I know that I don't have the time to get to everyone that would want to. So it's a way for me to know who really cares, who's worth it, who's going to appreciate it, and to more accurately direct my attention in ways that make sense to me and the things that I'm trying to do. Plus there are other reasons that I could give excuse for my weirdness. The truth is I'm a weirdo in today, but for anyone who it might help to alleviate their fears of trying to associate with me, I do know how to be normal, and I do have a gracious and kind heart. And in the day, I want most people to succeed and be fruitful in life. Even Giff, I hope he goes and does awesome things, but I've seen him screw enough people here. I don't want to see him be rewarded for that behavior if I can help it. So I have a domain that I've set up to exercise, like with the OR way, some of my dark side and demons, and hopefully in an integrated, healthy way that serves a greater purpose. But yeah,
I've got a quote
I'll be looking for more friends later on. I'll be a lot friendlier, and I hope to be able to do facilitate more gatherings and attend more gatherings. For example, the Texas Ren Fair is something that I'd like to get a yearly Hexagon event of people who enjoy that, because it's close to me. It's something that I enjoy, and it's something that I could help facilitate as well. So as I have the time and energy, that's another goal of mine to put out into the world for people to engage in. And come have fun.
A quick shout out to all of our medieval hexagons. So we've got Mr. Pootsniff on Twitter, X, the Hex Sword. For those of you guys who know, he makes awesome swords. He's making one for me, or he's already made one for me. Excuse me. He's making one for Crypto Coffee. He's making some for our DGen Roundtable members. We've also got up north. We've got Pesky Girl, who put on a fantastic event over at Medieval Times for Hexkins and Meetup, and looking to make that into a more normal and reoccurring type thing. So, if we got Medieval Times up north, if we've got the Texas Ren Fair down south, and a guy making us swords halfway in between, and I know there's a bunch of Hexkins with hex shields that there's a very limited edition of. It's like we're creating a modern Hexkin crusade. And also I wanted to say your quote about the friendship stuff reminded me of Bilbo Baggins from the Lord of the Rings first movie. He's like, I don't know half of you half as well as I should like, and I like less than half of you half as well as you deserve.
Yep.
So
it's good stuff. Yeah, and
that's awesome.
The Texas Ren Fair is the one I'm familiar with, and it's in the fall going into winter season. But my buddy has told me that Sherwood Forest, which is another Ren Fair here in Texas, but it's closer to Austin, is also well worth checking out. And it's a springtime event. I haven't been yet personally, but after, if I can get some regularity on the first one, then maybe we can make it biannual for the people who really want that extra level of opportunity to engage with each other.
There's also Scarborough up in Waxahachie area. If you haven't been to Scarborough, that one's pretty cool. I went there with Dr. Alan Chen from Unplugged Health. But yeah, bro, lots of cool things going on in the near future. The folks can find you in the Mafia Telegram, which is t.me/PLS Mafia, correct? That's the name of it?
Sir. Yes, sir.
There you guys go. You can also find him in the DGen Roundtable Book Club, which I'm going to use that shameless plug as a as the transition into the next subject. We've got the DGen Roundtable Book Club coming up on Friday, where we're going to be covering the book Unlimited Power by Anthony Robbins. Let me go ahead and switch our cameras back to our normal camera setup. So as you guys can see down below over here, it says that the DGen Roundtable streams every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern is when we start. We missed some streams recently because, man, I've been knocking down a lot of towers. But you guys don't care about that. You guys can find us here every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. So we're covering Anthony Robbins' Unlimited Power on Friday, and then Sunday we're going to be doing our normal show. And as you guys know, Wednesdays is the days that we talk to guests such as Moondog. I want to apologize to Mr. Angry Twinkie because I had forgotten that Zenith wanted to schedule a show with you. So they were going to do a show today, but I had made this this thumbnail and link too early, and I I had scheduled with Mr. Moondog here before they had a chance to do it. So Twinkie, we'll get to you, broski. It's going to happen. And Mr. Moondog, whenever you want to come on again and talk about more Pulse Mafia stuff, pretty much every Wednesday is free unless you see a stream link already set up and a guest already locked in. Pretty much every Wednesday, we just get on and shoot the shit and talk with whoever hops on. So if there's a link down below that says, hey, come join us, then it's free for people to join. And if there is no link, then who the fuck knows what's going on. But anyways, that's what's going on with the G-Gen Roundtable in the near future. That's where you can find Moondog. If you guys want to find me, then just go to will.pls.fyi. All of my socials are linked from there. And you can also find me in the G-Gen Roundtable Telegram. t.me/DRT join now. That's all that I've got. Moondog, anything else? Otherwise, I'm going to rock and roll on into the show's final copywriting.
Love and light, day and night.
Love and light. Hell yeah. I want to thank you all for spending your valuable time with us here on the D-Gen Roundtable. As Agent Jay often says, we know that time is your most valuable asset. We appreciate you investing each and every little bit of that time right here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Will Stevenson, but more importantly, you have been watching the D-Gen Roundtable. I'm the producer, so I'm getting my trigger finger ready because it's time to remind all the folks at home to remember to D-Gen responsibly.